Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. This is episode 9 and we're recording this on the 8th of July 2015. I'm Darren Whittam and joining me, as always, here he is, the man you've all been waiting for, to whom no cloud is too much strife. He has no fear in the Arkham Knight. The man who never gets lost in games as he always looks for the horizon. The tsunami of gaming knowledge and enthusiasm, the Sam to my Max, it's Antony Chesson. Antony, say hello.
Holy moly, I don't know if I can even say hello after that intro. Hello, Daz, how are you going?
It's alright, yeah. Did you like that intro?
I did indeed. I am chuffed to bits with that. That is very cool indeed. So how's your week been? Now, but I kind of know, kind of a spoiler or a teaser that last week I dashed your hopes of a certain kind of special edition, but you have news on that, don't you?
Yeah, all was not lost. So last week it was live disappointment as you broke the news to me that the Fallout 4 Pip-Boy edition was out of stock and none could be had for want of love or money. And then there was a tweet that I saw from Game, I think on maybe Wednesday of last week, or Thursday last week, saying, "Oh, lo and behold, we've acquired some extra stock, and we'll be selling that at stores and online on Friday morning. So get in the store or get online, and you can pre-order it." So I was like, "Hooray!" I think I tweeted you or messaged you or something. I said, "Look, mate, you can get one," and I got really excited about that. So yeah, I was really, really excited. I was thinking, rejoice! I can get one, and I thought, well, definitely after all my moaning, I've sort of committed myself. I must want one because I was so sad when I realised that I couldn't have one.
You were gutted. Yeah, absolutely. You were gutted. It was like a heartbreak. During the podcast, I felt really bad after.
It was. I didn't even realise that I wanted one that much so I found out that I couldn't have one. But I am a bit like that, if I can't have something, I really want it. And I think it's a good marketing strategy. Anyway, I should say. Just ask Nintendo with their manufactured scarcity tactics. But yeah, so after all this excitement and shouting from the rooftops, I promptly forgot about it on Friday morning. Until I was busy doing something at my computer at about 10:30 on Friday morning, and then I just went onto Twitter and then saw a Game Digital tweet saying something about it was a reply to them saying, "Oh great, Game's website's down, not bad," sort of thing. And I was like, "Oh man, I forgot all about it." So I raced onto a Game and promptly got the website is down for maintenance. This website is down for scheduled maintenance.
I can't believe they did that after they tweeted that they were going to be selling the Pip-Boy edition, the most kind of sought after collector's edition this year, and then they take their website offline to do some maintenance.
Yeah, that was my instant reaction. I was just like, "What? What are you doing? Not bad." And then I sort of realised that they must just have that as maybe their placeholder for the site being down. So
right.
It's a bit of a clever one because they say, "Haha! If ever our site goes down, we'll just have this placeholder that says down for scheduled maintenance, and people will all think that nothing's wrong because we planned it." Unfortunately, they should maybe have changed that in light of they probably had a feeling that their servers would probably bust with the demand of the Pip-Boy edition and changed that.
They should have had the Fallout 4, the please wait, that thing, that placeholder was there when they were doing the trailer. They should have had that on their website and saying please wait. They should have just put that up.
That would have been genius because they were aware of it because they were tweeting saying, and they were being a bit tongue in cheek saying, "We are trying our best to get the Vault back online." And yeah, if they had a bit of forethought there and a bit of more communication with the IT team or the web team, they could have just changed that page and it would have sort of helped soothe the pain a little bit. But yeah, everyone was all up in arms about it anyway, including myself. I was getting stressed because I was kind of happy though, really, because I was like, "Oh, classic. Well, at least no one's going to have beaten me to it." But I think some people were annoyed because they thought that they were going to be selling them from 9 a.m. The tweet that I read said in the morning. It didn't say 9 a.m. It said sort of later on. So I wasn't expecting that, but I completely forgot anyway until I saw the reminder. So there I was, clicking away, and the website was broken. And they did change that page eventually to we're having problems. So somebody obviously saw that and said, "Look, this looks a bit ridiculous. Let's change it. We're not scheduling maintenance when we've advertised a pre-order time." So it was good that they changed that. At one point, I had like 4 pages open, 2 in IE, 2 in Chrome. And Chrome wasn't getting there, so I was opening IE. I was about to open some in Firefox as well, and I was just like clicking on them all. I felt like I was a high roller in Vegas playing some kind of slots. And the prize was the opportunity to perhaps have the chance to pre-order if I was lucky enough to get a working page, because sometimes it would get a little bit further and then boot me out again. But yeah, so I was on there, and it was about an hour that I spent clicking away. And I thought, I spoke to you actually, and I was a bit distracted, wasn't I? I was sort of like, just trying to do this, and I rang up the game number, the 0208 number, and it was like, you can't talk to them about pre-orders on here. They don't do any of that. You've got to have to go to the shop. I tweeted my local shop. They said, no, you've got to come to the shop. So I was like, well, I could go down on my bike, because my wife had the car. I was like, well, I could cycle down to the shop and brave brave the streets of Blackpool, which I thought was quite a good parallel to breaking out of Vault 111 into the wastelands. So I ran down.
I could just imagine you just on your bike screaming through Blackpool, like, get out of my way.
Yeah. Do you not know it's an emergency? It's an emergency. So I grabbed my bag and I ran downstairs, sort of tripped up over a load of Lego from my son that had been left all over the place. Went into the garage. Got to my bike. I hadn't ridden it for ages. The tyres were flat. I started pumping them up in a crazed fervour, and I was like, "Oh, I've got to do this." And then I just thought, you know what? I've not got time for this. It was a blazing hot day as well, and I thought, "Oh no, they might sell out. They might sell out." So I ran back upstairs, and I thought I'd just persevere with my clickety click click, because I had some other things to do as well at home. So yeah, click click click. Eventually I got through, and when I did finally get to the checkout, which that was a bit of a muddle in itself, because you'd get to the checkout and then you'd sign in, and then if you were lucky enough to sign in one time, when you sort of went to pay, it'd boot you out again. It was really was a nightmare. Typical, it's just normal for these things, because the servers never seem to be up to the task. Anyway, when it finally got to paying, I had 3 in my basket from my multiple clicking, and then I sort of got the old sort of animated devil on my shoulder and saying, go on, buy them all, you can sell them, you'll be able to sell these for a fortune, Daz. And I was tempted, but I thought, I've spoken about this before, and I don't like these people that just buy up everything and then sell it, because it stops the fans from getting hold of things such as these collector's editions. Absolutely. So I thought, I can't, as tempting as it would be, that I could have bought 3 and probably paid for the one that I was buying and had a nice tidy profit as well, because I checked it out on eBay, and pre-order receipts are being sold for £250 for the game. I just left it. I emptied my basket of all but the one and pre-ordered it. And then I was thinking, I wonder if it's gone through, because it was just so dodgy and so flaky. But I've had my email to say that it's pre-ordered, and yeah, that's it. So that was a bit of drama, yeah. But I've secured myself a Fallout 4 Pip-Boy edition. Hooray! I bet it's going to be really cheap and nasty, but we shall see, and I'll report on it. November the 10th, I think it's out.
Yes. Yeah, no, it is. It's November the 10th. I mean, I was, when I was watching you kind of struggle over Skype, which was making me chuckle a little bit, I was like, well, do you know what? I'm gonna download it. I'm gonna buy one as well. And I tried, but unfortunately, I did have. They couldn't put one aside at my local game. But they did say, like, if you come before kind of 12:30, you should be okay. And so I was like, fine, I'm going to have lunch at 12:30. I was working from home, and then about 12:15, my boss rang me and wanted to talk for a really long time, and we were going through things. So by the time I got to game, I kind of walked through the door with that little kind of look on my face, and they just kind of shook their head behind the counter. They knew exactly what I wanted, so I didn't get mine. So I was quite sad, but I'm going to enjoy watching you kind of unbox it and play with it.
Yeah, I might unbox it on Periscope or something in my excitement. Yeah, that would be good. So it was
that would be awesome. Yeah.
So it was the old boss attack that stopped you.
It really was. I got thwarted by the boss.
Nightmare. And that was a boss that you just couldn't beat quickly. We're talking like the end of an RPG kind of boss thing.
Yeah, I was like, wrap it up, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't working, and that call never finished on time. And it just kind of, I think they were down to only a few, and I was going to. It was. I didn't care what platform at that point. I was even going to go PS4 or Xbox One, and but unfortunately, when I got there, they were all gone.
Yeah,
but apart from that,
yeah, it was a nice tip that you said that your guy at Game advised you, and he said, no, even if we sold out of the format that you wanted, just buy it, because the Pip-Boy is obviously universal, and just sell the game and buy the game you want. I thought that was a good
Yeah,
version.
absolutely. Yeah, just swap it. He just said no matter what one, you could just buy the get the other game, swap it, and then you're good to go. So that was quite cool.
Yeah, quite insightful. What else did I do on my week? I backed Shenmue 3 on Kickstarter. So that was fun.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I'm going to get that, and I really like that idea because it means that we get to pay in dollars as well. It's really cool. So it's $30 for a digital copy on PC, PS4, or Xbox One, and us Brits get to pay $30, which is sort of unheard of these days. So that's nice. Or unheard of these days, unheard of any day. So I quite like that, and so I've been inundated with update emails from you, Suzuki. Have you found that sort of every day you're getting like one or two Kickstarter updates, or not so much because you've backed it, haven't you?
Oh no, absolutely, yeah. I mean, what tier did you go for when you backed Shenmue?
I went for the $10,000 dinner with you, Suzuki, in a revolving restaurant.
Leather jacket.
Yeah, in the leather jacket. Because why the hell not? No, no, I didn't. I embarrassingly went for the digital copy of the game, and that's all at $29, I think it is. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent stuff.
The only other thing I've got is a little gripe. I put the Xbox One on. I think the reason that I switched it on was to either play Aladdin for my little boy, or it was to download Assassin's Creed Black Flag on Games with Gold. And I was hit with an update of 2 gig. And I was just like, how many times is this going to happen to me? Where I put the Xbox on, I seem to remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the Xbox One autonomously can download and install the updates. And then they brought one of the other patches, probably about a year ago, said, right, categorically, we will now, your Xbox can install system updates, and they said that as part of an update, that after this update it would install system updates. And I was sort of like, okay, maybe I misinterpreted it all this time, that it couldn't do system updates, but now it can. It's never once autonomously installed a system update, and I've checked my settings multiple times and it never does it, and it just annoys me because when I turn it on, 2 gig, I've got quite a slow download speed. It's only about 16 meg, between 11 and 16 meg. So it took an hour and a half or something, and really, I was just past caring by the time it finished, and it's just annoying. And I suppose if I had a really fast download speed like I used to, it wouldn't be so bad, but it would still bother me somewhat, even waiting a few minutes, because it's supposed to install elegantly and silently in the background, and I don't understand why it's not doing. Do you agree that it... am I barking up the wrong tree there, that it's supposed to do this?
No, absolutely. It definitely is supposed to do it. And it has done others previously. It's done them, I've kind of got home from work, fired up the Xbox, and the update's already there, because that's how I download games as well. Sometimes when I'm at work on my way home, there's a new game on a Wednesday, I just use the app, the iOS app, and I download a game straight from there. And by the time I get home, it's downloaded, it's installed, so it's definitely supposed to work. And I was wondering if it's because maybe we're in the preview program, maybe that they don't work that way. I've definitely been having a look around, because that 2.2 gig, I've got pretty fast broadband, and that 2.2 gig took out a whole night of Batman for me. I was ready, it was about 9 o'clock. I thought, right, couple of hours, and the 2.2 gig it crawled. It really did. At one point, it got to about 50%, and then just didn't move for ages. And I think it took me about a good 90 minutes, and by that time, I was already kind of watching something else or fiddling around with something. And by the time it finished, I was like, do you know what, I can't be bothered to play games now. And it really did take it down. And like I say, I've been looking at the settings, because the reason why I was looking at the settings and doing, as you said, that's like doing a compare, is because Nicola's Xbox, I turned it on and I thought, right, the same thing's not going to happen to her when she wants to kind of play when she gets home from work. So I thought I'll download it while I was at home during the day, and it was already there, and the update was already there. So there's something strange about Nicola's Xbox that she got that update, but for you and I, it was a crawl.
Is she on the preview?
She is in the preview, yeah, because I invited her, so she can play Viva Pinata on the backward compatible.
Hey.
So I invited her, so she got that. And the thing was when that 2.2 gig patch came down, there was nothing really to show for it. So I don't mind if it was. I thought at one point, are we going to see the dashboard change?
Oh, the new UI,
yeah. Are we going to get that in kind of in time for the Windows 10? But I reckon it was just all background stuff getting ready for Windows 10 and streaming.
Yeah, that's what I'm led to believe from having a look around, that it's all in preparation for Windows 10, which is fantastic. But first of all, it's supposed to be autonomous and elegant and silent. And that's the thing, actually. I hadn't thought of that. Even if I had 100 meg download speed, if it's a bottleneck at their end because they're pushing it out to everybody at the same time, then there's nothing you can do. If it's going to crawl at their end. And then, all the bandwidth in the world at your end isn't going to make a halfpenny of difference, is it?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got 72 meg download on my broadband, and when I'm downloading a 2 gig movie, from iTunes or whatever, it flies. That's no time at all for me. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, don't worry, that's okay. That's the great thing about having that super fast broadband. But there was just obviously a bottleneck on their servers, and like I say, it took me about a good 90 minutes to download.
Yeah, maybe they didn't stagger the push or something. But you'd think with their Azure cloud that the sky's the limit, really, with the way that they could push things out. But nevertheless, we both had problems at different parts of the country, and yeah, it's annoying. It took your gaming night. It was Friday night, wasn't it? It was Friday night, I think, because I was busy doing something sort of technical for the podcast all night, which I decided to do while that was downloading. And I finished, I think, because we had a little chat around 11ish, and I finished, and mine had only just finished, and I was just like, yeah, like you, I was like, I can't be bothered now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it could have even been Thursday or Friday, but I think it may have been. I think you're right. It may have been Friday, but it did just take a whole night out.
Yeah. And I was going to say, for me, it could have just been bad luck me putting the Xbox on at that time, but you put your Xbox on all the time, so I would say it most probably got pushed then, and that's not a good time for Europe to push anything out like that, because Friday night is gaming night for a lot of gaming fans. So I don't know, bad planning. Just seems like bad planning to me for a big update like that, and the mystery of why me and you don't update and Nicola does. It just baffles me, especially if all the settings are correct. The only thing I've thought of doing, because I've also got an annoying Zoo Tycoon demo icon that is greyed out because I've uninstalled it, but I can't get rid of it completely. It doesn't come off the main Metro interface. It's it won't just bugger off into sort of ready to install. It's always there, and I don't know. I think I'm a bit OCD with things like that, and I'm just like, if I ever think about it, I start trying to get rid of it again, and it just won't go. And I had a look online, and the only suggestion is to do a restore of the Xbox. So I've been sort of tempted to do that because I haven't played it that much. There's nothing really to stop me, so I'm thinking that I might do that. And maybe if I did do a restore, because I've had it from sort of near enough, I bought it on day one, but I didn't open it up till Christmas. Maybe that would cure it. I don't know. So I might try that, because unlike you, I haven't got thousands of digital downloads on it. It wouldn't be that complex a thing, or time taking thing for me to do that, so I may just do a factory reset on it and see what happens.
Yeah, that might be a smart move.
Yeah, so that's probably about it for my week. What about you? What have you been up to?
My week was quite interesting, actually. On Sunday, out of a pure whim, it was raining, I think, in the morning, and I just started clicking around on Gamescom's website just to have a look at kind of what was happening, and I noticed that they had Thursday tickets that were still available. So Friday and Saturday had sold out, but they had Thursday and Sunday tickets. So I kind of convinced the wife, a bit of begging, bit of pleading, convinced the wife that a couple of days in Cologne would be a good thing at the start of August. So we booked Thursday at Gamescom. So we're going to go to Gamescom. We arrive in Cologne very early on the Thursday. We're going to go straight to the event, drop our bags off at the hotel, go straight to the event, spend an entire day at Gamescom, have a look around, hopefully playing some new stuff, maybe even getting hands on with things like No Man's Sky or something like that, and then we're going to spend the whole day there, and then the next day on the Friday we're going to just kind of hang around Cologne, kind of do some sightseeing, catch up with a couple of guys, and so it should be quite cool. So that was just a total whim on Sunday. So that's what happens, you see. It starts to rain and then I start kind of wandering around the internet. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I've never been before. I've been to Eurogamer Gamer and things like that, but I've never been to Gamescom, and so I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll be taking lots of photos and doing a report on gamerslostspark.com for of my experiences at Gamescom and Cologne.
Oh wow, fantastic! Lost Spark representing at Gamescom.
Yes.
Wow, I tell you something. If you're so impetuous when it rains, you're in the wrong country, mate. It's going to cost a fortune.
Absolutely. So that was my first foray on the internet. Which was that, and then another one was there's a chap who works for Eurogamer, a chap by the name of Ryan McCaffrey, and he's just launched a T-shirt range. Now we all know how much I love my geeky T-shirts.
We do.
And he's just launched a range called Nerd Styles. It's nerdstyles.com, and he's got us some amazing T-shirts. And he tweeted one out on Saturday night, on Sunday, and it was a T-shirt, a Coexist T-shirt on fast food. And this was a Five Guys kind of meets Shake Shack, which are kind of two of my favourite burger places in the US, which have now really come to the UK. You can get them in Covent Garden. And I'm like Blue Water and stuff like that. I have Five Guys. So I was like, I'm getting that T-shirt. That just looks, it's a really cool, very stylized T-shirt. But he's also got a Coexist where he's got an Xbox controller and a PS4 controller. And so I had to get it. So I kind of did a bit of an order. So I've got a couple of those coming. Hopefully they will be there in time for Gamescom. If not, I've got a bucket load of Dark Buddy tees that I could wear that will kind of get my geek on. But they were just really good. So he's got some fantastic designs up there, but the two kind of Coexists really did. They really did just kind of spark something. So I'm looking forward to getting those.
Yeah, well, since I've moved away from the golden light that is London, and I'm not based in Covent Garden with my job anymore, I'm not up to date with these brand new fast food outlets, which is annoying. But I did like the Coexist ones, especially the one with the two controllers, the PS4 and the Xbox One controllers living in harmony. It's really cool. So they do look like really good designs, and I love my T-shirts too, and I think I might be ordering one. It's an American site though, so I wonder how much they're going to charge for delivery over to the UK.
Yeah, the delivery wasn't too bad. I've done a 10 to 14 day delivery, and it wasn't that bad at all. You know, sometimes when you go on sites like that, the kind of delivery costs more than the T-shirt, but it wasn't too bad. It was very reasonable, and the T-shirts aren't that expensive either. So it was. I bought 3 T-shirts, and so I can't wait for those to come.
Brilliant. Well, yeah. It's a really cool site, and it's got some great designs on it, and I think if the delivery isn't too much, I think I might be jumping on board myself, because I really do like that Coexist one for the consoles. Yeah, really cool. Yeah,
it's really cool. And then the last highlight of my week was totally game related. On the way back, I went to Manchester, one of the offices of the firm I work with. I went there for the day, and on the way back, I started watching an interview that Ryan McCaffrey again from IGN did during E3. Now this interview was just amazing. You know, I shouldn't be telling people to go, leave Lost Spark podcast and go and look at something else, but this interview is well worth checking out. It's basically Ryan interviewing Phil Spencer, the current head of Xbox, Peter Moore, the old head of Xbox 360, and Seamus Blackley as well, who is the creator of Xbox. So you had 3 generations of Xbox. It's about an hour and a half, I think it is, isn't it, Darren? I think it's about 90 minutes interview. And it is fantastic. I just sat there and I watched it, and it was just, Ryan did a fantastic job. If ever there is, we're new to this podcasting and I'm really enjoying it, but that was someone who is, kind of someone you can aspire to. He held these 3 guys, he was asking all the right questions, all the questions that us, or especially me, Xbox fanboys wanted to ask, and all of them were being very enigmatic. There was no, chest puffing with any of them, and none of them saying, I was better than you. Peter Moore was his normal lovely self, sharply dressed as well. And but it was just such a great interview, and I really enjoyed it. I've actually listened to it as well since I watched it, and then I was doing something and just kind of pottering around, and I listened to it again and listened to the audio, and it's one of my favourite kind of gaming podcasts, and it's fantastic. And I'll put a note, I'll put a link in the notes section of this podcast, but it's well worth checking out.
Yeah, I've not watched it yet. It's on my list, but I've just been busy with other podcasts and things, so I haven't got around to listening to it yet. But I'm probably I'll have listened to it by the next podcast. So he delivered a masterclass in, if you like, games journalism. You'd say, would you?
He really did. He delivered the right questions. He handled all of these guys right. He kind of massaged their egos. He did everything right, and it was really good, and it was fantastic. And because I've kind of now turned into a bit of a Ryan McCaffrey fanboy, we did reach out to him on Twitter, and if all of our kind of wires can cross at the same time, we may have an interview with the man himself coming up on our website very soon. But we'll keep you posted on that when that happens.
Yeah, definitely, and everything crossed for that coming to fruition in the not too distant future. That will be fantastic.
Absolutely, the man he's very gracious. He's very he chats on Twitter as well, and it was quite nice. And I think Twitter was just basically inundating him with praise from this interview, and it was a job well done. So we salute you, Mr. McCaffrey.
We do. So what have you been playing this week then, Antony?
I've been playing nothing but Arkham Knight.
Whoa.
I am so into Arkham Knight that I haven't played anything else. Other weeks I kind of play. I'll do a bit of Batman, but then I'll do a bit of Yoshi's Woolly World, or I'll play a bit of Forza. This week, I am falling for Batman. I'm still seeing people kind of hating it online, and I can see there are parts where they may be hating it, but I'm loving it. It looks incredible. It plays amazing. I've said time and time again, but one of the things that grabbed me on a couple of play sessions was, and it's no spoilers, I won't spoil anything, but there was like Two-Face, isn't it? He's been in the trailer, so we all know that. But Two-Face has been doing bank heists. So what happens is you do your normal kind of Batman stealthy for the bank heist, but half of the bank heist is you've got a meter that's coming down, and the people there, they're robbing the bank and they're taking all of the money. So you've got to try and take out about 15 guys before the money's gone in the bank, so that you can see it's clocking down. And that does kind of add a different element to it. And then when you take out the 15 guys, doors lock, and you can go back to being stealthy and take out the rest. And I loved it. I loved it so much. It was great. I had, again, the headphones were on, the sound was amazing, but that rushing element to try and take the 15 down before the vaults are emptied just really did kind of resonate with me. And it was really quite exciting. And then you kind of took the pressure off again as you took out the rest of the guys. And there was about 3 or 4 of these, and then you kind of close off Two-Face's storyline. And they were fantastic. Once I did one, I just found the next bank that they were robbing, and then I did that one, and then I found the next bank, and I was really enjoying it. And after that, I went back to the story. I think I'm very, very close to finishing the story. I think maybe one more session, which will probably be this evening, and I'm very close to finishing it, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Wow! So that gameplay mechanic, it hooked you. It really grabbed you. That sort of that chain and defeat while the time is going on in the banks, that really grabbed you.
Yeah, it's quite strange because normally I love when I play the Batman games, I do love kind of sitting up on those gargoyles, taking my time, learning their patterns and taking them out one by one, and very stealthily. But for some reason I normally hate anything where you have to race against the clock or anything like that. My entire gaming kudos goes out the window when I have a timer. For some reason I just start to panic. But there was something about it. You were just being really kind of badass as Batman and just taking these 15 guys out quite quickly. I was hiding under the floorboards, jumping out, taking a couple down, and I just really liked it. And as side missions go, that was possibly my favourite one in all of Arkham Knight so far. The one thing that I'm itching to find out who the Arkham Knight is, because the premise behind it is there is this character called the Arkham Knight, and you don't know who he is, and I can't wait for that reveal. I was very close the other night to just going online and finding out, but I want that. I was that kind of impatient, but I'm very excited by who that is, because Rocksteady know Batman, and they put a lot of cameos. There's a lot of references to not only Batman characters but DC characters in a whole. You know, it presses all of my nerd buttons.
Brilliant.
But that's me. I mean, that's it. That's all I've been playing. There's nothing else. You know, that's it. You know, any waking gaming moment has been Arkham Knight. What about you, Darren? What have you been playing this week?
Well, I'll get onto that in a sec, but I just want to ask you a few questions about Arkham Knight.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
as regular listeners will know, I haven't bought Arkham Knight, so I don't know anything about it. But I played Arkham City. Was it Arkham City, the last one? Yeah, I don't count Origins. So I was going to ask you, what I really sort of annoys me about some games is where, you won't need to remember, I remember in City, you have to switch your, you sort of got bat vision to work things out, you know, a bit like Metroid, you have an overlay, or like Witcher with your Witcher vision, and you have a Batman one where you can see in the dark, don't you? Is that right? And it highlights all the characters, like makes them luminous.
Yes. So you have the kind of investigation mode. I think they call it a detective mode. I think is the term for
That's it, the detective mode. Now, I found in Arkham City a lot of the time I'd be playing through it mainly in detective mode, which I found detracted from the beauty of the game. So my question was, do you find that it's sort of necessary to play the majority in detective mode and taking that sheen of appreciation of the environment away with all your brightly illuminated, highlighted vision, or do you not really need that and you can just sort of play without it?
Well, it's quite interesting because I mean, I, like you, do spend a lot of my time, especially when I'm taking out a room full of guys, I do spend a lot of time in detective mode. But what they introduced in Arkham Origins and also in Arkham Knight is when you've got that on, there's normally guys that can sense that. So you see this little bar that's coming up, and if you have your detective mode on for too long, they know where you are, and they'll detect you. So there's a lot of just kind of quick push it up, have a look, see where the guys are, position yourself, and then turn it off quite quickly.
Oh, I like that. So a little mechanism so you can't just keep in there. That's good. So you've got to shut it off, and you've got to appreciate the environment a little bit and work a little bit in sort of real life instead of relying on your gadgets all the time. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, indeed. I mean, I was always like you had it in, but the thing with me was I had it in detective mode, and then I would come out of that and I'd go, oh my god, this is a beautiful game, isn't it? You know, and then you would forget how amazing the game was, and it just would keep kind of catching you off. But no, there's a lot of set pieces where there are these guys that, you know, as soon as you put it on, they go, right, I've got a lock, you know, and then you're like, oh, better turn it off, you know. So they've worked that in. So maybe that was kind of feedback that they took from previous games.
That's good feedback. Well noted then, because I've noticed that with a few games, and I can't think of any examples offhand, but there's been many beautiful games that I've ended up just finding that if it's got some kind of overlay that's similar to detective mode, that I'm just basically playing an overlay and playing a game with vector graphics when I should be actually enjoying what people have laboured and spent 5 years creating, or following a breadcrumb trail on a map in the top right of, like, The Witcher, for instance. I find I'm looking at that damn circle and I'm following the dots rather than looking at the beautiful vista, and it sort of annoys me. I did read a comment from one guy on a forum about The Witcher, and he said that he'd decided to turn all the indicators off, so we had no map at the top right, and he said that, you know, you might think that you never find your way around, but he said it's surprising how much you rely on landmarks and things. He was saying that it's added a whole new dimension to the game, and I thought, oh wow, wouldn't that be amazing? You know, so you actually learn the lay of the land. You're not relying on the map, and you just find your way around sort of organically, if you like. And I thought
that's really cool. That's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah.
That's quite, I mean, I must admit, I do like a waypoint, you know, in Borderlands, in Batman. I mean, it's quite cool because in Arkham Knight, you know, if you say, right, I'm going to do the story, you look up in the sky and there's a bat symbol that's pointing down, so then it's up to you how you get there, and that's kind of how I enjoy kind of like flying around or driving around, but no, that's really cool. That's hardcore Witcher, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was like, oh, that sounds amazing, but I was like, I can't do that, it's just ridiculous, I'll never find my way around. But I do sometimes find that I'm too much following the pointer. I mean, I want a waypoint because I want to know where I'm going. So I'd sort of like some middle ground, because sometimes on GTA, for instance, I've just found that essentially I'm just following the arrow. It's like you can take away the whole game content, and I'm just following that arrow to a checkpoint or a waypoint, and then following the arrow again. And that's breaking it down to sort of like the most sort of cynical or awful degree, but sometimes I felt like that when I'm just staring at that map. And GTA is an example of where I'm watching that map rather than watching the beautiful game. And it's quite strange. And that might just be me, but I'd like some middle ground. I think maybe it's a bit too much hand-holding, and maybe they should drop back a little bit, some way where the waypoint just pops up occasionally or something, or the map fades off the screen until you summon it, and that way it could, for me personally anyway, it would stop my eyes from just training on that map, because I always feel I've got to get there quick, and I think I miss out on the beautiful environments that are developed these days by concentrating on my urgency to get from checkpoint A to B. My other point I was just going to mention is, it's, as you said, you're probably nearly at the end now, and what you're going to do afterwards.
No, I mean, I've got so many side missions to do. I mean, it's quite funny, as you come across another character, there's this wheel. Imagine as a clock face, there's probably about 20 different things to do, and I have, just because I'm so excited and intrigued by the Arkham Knight, because this isn't someone who's appeared in comic book lore, so I want to know who it is. So whenever I can, I'm going straight to the story. And it's quite funny because occasionally, Alfred will come on and they'll go, "You need to do some of those missions, Don't forget about those. Don't forget about those burning buildings." And I'm like, "Screw the burning buildings! I want to get here." And so once I've done that, I've got a whole load of side missions to go, and I'm enjoying the world so much that I think I would definitely do that. I would then just kind of go straight into those side missions. And also, don't forget, I bought the season pass as well, so that's going to keep me going.
Of course, because yeah, you did. That's right. I was sort of trying to get at. I had to hold myself back then. I didn't know what to say. But
there is so much to do. I mean, I think if I'd have been doing all of the side missions similar to how I was playing the Two-Face side missions, I would be just barely touching the story. There is a lot to do. But the great thing is they don't overwhelm you, maybe like GTA or something like that. It's all kind of controlled, and you say, right, I now want to do that, and then the marker becomes that. So it's very cool. It's very cool, and like I say, I do just I want to get to the end, and then I'll do some of those side missions. Cool. Now tell me, young sir, last week you were kind of, you were falling out of love with The Witcher 3, and you said that you would get yourself back into the story. Have you? How's it going? Are you guys breaking up, or have you made up?
Well, yeah, it's been a rocky road the last few days. Since last week when I sort of announced that that the honeymoon period was over. But yeah, as I said, I sort of put it on, concentrated a bit more on some story mode, and got a bit more jointedness to the disjointed way that I was playing it. And I'm back into it now. I've played, I think, a significant amount of the story. I would say my gaming radar is pointing to me being probably 2/3 through. I think I'm just hitting that final third, the ramping up to the final battle or whatever it may be. It's gone a bit Mass Effect 2 on me, to be honest, and I won't say any more than that for fear of spoilers, but if people have played Mass Effect 2 and they've played up to where I am on The Witcher 3, they'll hopefully know what I mean by that. And yeah, so I've been really enjoying it. Had to carry out a really nasty sort of rite of passage, if you like. You had to lift a curse off an NPC within the game, off one of the characters, and it wasn't a comfortable thing to do, put it that way. It made it sort of awkward and a harsh thing that you had to sort of do for the greater good. And I thought it was great the way it did it. And after that, it sort of reveals, pretty much the pathway to the end game. So that's where I'm up to, and I'm enjoying it again. And I'm still, it doesn't fail to amaze me all the time. It's really great. I'm really enjoying it. And there's some in the news section. I'll talk. There's a patch coming for it, which has got some really needed things included in there, and it just makes me think that perhaps you're doing the right thing by waiting, because you're going to get the game when you play it with all these tweaks already there and in place. Some people will have completed the game without some of the nicer touches being put into place, so it will have been more of a pain for them without these certain refinements. So it's an interesting argument. I was thinking about this as I was playing it last night, because I was thinking, well, I won't do this because the patch is coming out and this will help me with this, so I'll just wait for that. And I was thinking, this is an argument against jumping on board day one. But your publishers and your developers, I think mainly the publishers, want you to jump on board day one to sort of back the game, So to make it that it's more, if you like, if it's wiser to wait, not just because of a drop in price or anything like that, but just because you'll get a game that's more rounded and fully fleshed out, goes against the grain of what they want. So it's a difficult sort of dilemma, I think, there, because the gamer that waits in the Witcher 3's case, and probably, let me think, Assassin's Creed Unity's case and Battlefield 4's case, I'll stop there. People are going to get a better experience by waiting until it's all patched and ready, but the profit will be less for the retailer and the publisher and the developer, etc. Because most likely the game will have dropped in price by that point. So it's kind of like, well, release it when it's ready, and then you'll get the gamers will get the full game. They may have to wait a little while longer, but if the expectation is managed, that shouldn't be a problem apart from a bit of moaning. And so the full game will be released. You'll get everybody jumping on board, and they'll get the full game, and they'll all pay the right price instead of waiting. Like, for instance, with Batman, you're going to get a lot of people waiting for Game of the Year edition because of the bad press and because of the fact of the sort of sporadic DLC, etc., that people will think, oh, well, we'll probably get that in a Game of the Year edition and wait a year. But then you could argue that everybody that was going to buy the game buys it anyway, and that's me included. So, but do you see what I'm getting at there?
No, I do indeed. But I guess the problem, the other side of the coin there is that if, say for instance, none of us bought The Witcher 3 when it came out because they were, we knew that studio to release buggy games, and nobody bought it, then there wouldn't be any money or there wouldn't be an incentive for that studio to then patch it. So it's almost like being that. I mean, I know, I'm an early adopter in technology and games. And there is, you take the I've got it first before anybody else with that, I'm going to have to wait for this update, for that update. I mean, luckily, like my Apple Watch, I got that day one, and that's been perfect. There hasn't been any problems with that. But other stuff that I've got, I've been bitten with my 4K TV, not streaming Netflix, and it's kind of that situation, isn't it? Because, those things, and like I say, with The Witcher, we're getting regular updates all the time because it's sold by the bucket loads, where if it just sold just under 1 million, the studio would probably wait until more people bought it before they started patching it. So it's a rock and a hard place, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, and there's different degrees of it. I think a lot of the stuff in The Witcher is sort of been requested by fans, and it's not game breaking. I've had the odd game-breaking bug where I've had to reload, which is annoying because the loading times are so long. But really, you are getting a full game. I think, because my reply was going to be, well, if it's not complete, then, it's not about being an early adopter and being a gamer, because, it's being released as a full-priced, finished product. So you can't really argue that. Label it as early access. But in The Witcher 3's case, I'd say, it is completable in the state that it was released in. And, like you say, the money and the backing there is allowing improvements. But if it becomes a trend, then I say this because I'd still buy it day one, because it's a game like that I wouldn't be able to help myself, and I love The Witcher 3. And I'll always love any game like this. If Last Guardian, if they said to me, oh, there's going to be quite a few bugs in it, so you might want to wait 6 months, but we'll give you the opportunity to buy it now, I would still buy it there. But I wouldn't mind being forewarned. That goes back to me saying make it an early access thing, though. So, I'm just saying there, I think, that if it becomes a trend with full-price games that are deemed to be finished, that they get polished so much over a period of months after release, then a percentage of gamers will wait and sort of they won't see the initial release as a finished product. And I think that it could be bad news for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting because we are seeing a trend of more alphas and betas happening with games, more kind of multiplayer games than anything else. We're also seeing games being delayed or games being announced too early. So I'm very much with you. I would rather, take The Division, for instance. I want Ubisoft to wait as long as they can and release a product that works day one. I mean, Division's going to have a big multiplayer online part of it, and I want that working from day one. So, if you have to delay it until next year, which they are, if you have to delay it later to next year, then do it, because I'd rather have that completed experience. One of the games that does stand out that worked really well from day one was Destiny. Not everybody likes it. A lot of people fell out of love with it, but it worked from day one. From day one, we could go online, you could co-op, you could do all of that stuff, and it worked really well.
Yeah, it totally did, and I was there in the lobbies and everything, and on the main Hub Planet thing that I can't remember what it was called. I was there, and it worked like a charm. And yeah, it's great, and that's the exception rather than the rule these days, isn't it? And they did a good job with that. What's the latest DLC called? Or is it the Taken Cash? Is that what it's called?
Let me take your cash. I believe it is the latest deal. But that worked, and I want more studios to follow suit, because there is nothing more kind of, disconcerting than firing up something that you've been waiting a long time for. You start playing it, it doesn't work. Nicola and I took a couple of days off to play Halo Master Chief Collection, and even though we're in the same room, we co-op on our own Xboxes, our own TVs. So we wanted to join up online, and we spent a good half a day just dropping out, going back in, and it was really frustrating. And for someone, with me, I'm like, well, they must have server problems. But I can see, Nicola going, well, I don't want to play this anymore. I'd rather go and play a game that I can play. And, you could see them losing interest as those problems evolved. So, I'm all for when a game is delayed, when they say they're having issues. Most of the time, if I'm looking forward to it, obviously you aren't disappointed, but at the same time, you're happy because you're not going to get that frustrating launch weekend.
Yeah, you'd rather have a delayed great game than a rushed pile of rubbish.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I just think it's strange. It's a strange thing to sort of get my head around, really, because a lot of these games that aren't labelled as early access, they're fully fledged releases, and they do work. Like The Witcher 3 is a complete entity, on release, a little bit buggy, and they were patching it, but you could say that those bugs are within the acceptable parameters. Well, I think they are. People might argue that they're not, but even so, it's getting more and more polished as the months go on. And like you say, yeah, that funding from the initial buy-in has allowed that to happen, but it's just that, like, some gamers may just think, I'll hold fire. But then, having said that, and this is the point that I was just going to make, actually, it doesn't really matter, because us sort of vocal minority, we're not the majority of people who buy games. And Assassin's Creed, Unity's stats and the Call of Duty stats, their sales speak volumes about this. So it's not really. I'm saying, oh no, when people will hold back and it'll affect the games industry. It's not gonna affect it at all, I don't think, because you've got your gamers that just go out and buy these games and they enjoy them, and fair play to them. It's just a sort of savvy gamers that may wait, though. I wouldn't, because I want to play it. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So yeah, I'm enjoying The Witcher 3 again. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And it's great fun, and I'm sort of think I'm getting to the end, and then once I've done that, I'll switch over probably to Bloodborne and punish myself on that. I've also been playing Rocket League, which is one of the games that came out with PS Plus July for this month. So we downloaded that, not really knowing what to expect, certainly not expecting the great game that it is. It's really good fun. It's sort of... Yeah,
really?
It's really good. It's a football game with little cars. So...
Right.
It's kind of like little tiny cars, like micro machines.
Yeah. Interested. Keep going.
It's like Speedball. Speedball 2 with little micro machine men, micro machine cars to play it. It's really cool.
Wow.
So yeah, I've played that for a little while. I couldn't get online because... They've had some server issues. The developer Psyonix are working on it. They've not lost their sense of humour in replying to the complaints about the outage. They called it the PS Plus hug of death. Has been giving them some problems. And I quite like. I've not heard that phrase before, but yeah, the PS.
They're inundated with love, so it's gone down.
Choked with love, yeah. So they're working to sort that out. So I haven't been able to play online, but there's a single player with bots, and I'm more than happy to do that because I started thinking, well, I've got to practice anyway. And it's really cool. You just, I think the most you can have is 4 aside, and I just played 2 on 2. And there's a big old ball there, and you race around a pitch, and you just basically drive into the ball to move it into the opposite goal. And it's just really cool, really tight controls. There's a bit of the gravity's a little bit. It's not quite the moon, but it's definitely not Earth, so it's a bit floaty. But the controls are tight, you know. You can sort of do a double jump. Once you jump once with the X button, you jump. And then on your second jump, you can use the left stick to jump, to sort of spin yourself or bounce yourself in any direction, be that forward, back, left or right. And you can use that. So say the ball was to your right, but in front of the goal. You could sort of like drive right up to it and then jump just as you're about to get to it, and then hit right on the left stick along with the X button for the double jump, and you'll basically do a jump forward and then a jump bouncing to the right and smack the ball into the goal. Now, that's a lot of explanation for something that feels quite natural in the game, and it's so cool when you pull it off and it goes goal, and it all sort of goes into slow motion, and it's more than a good game. It's a bloody good game. And we should.
Wow, and that's really good because it's a freebie, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, which is really cool. You know, and it's nice to see that kind of quality coming to PSN. So are you passing the ball around? Are you kind of? Is it a bit like football where you're kind of building up from your end and passing it around, or are you just kind of controlling it once you've got it? It's kind of kind of wrestle to keep the ball and then put it into the net.
You're sort of chasing the ball all the time. As for actually planned passing, I'm not at that stage yet because it's the ball just you smash into the ball and it just goes flying around the arena, and it's quite difficult to sort of set yourself up to pass it, especially because I've only been playing 2 on 2. It might be easier with a few more players on the pitch, but it's crazy fun.
Sounds awesome. It sounds like it'd be really good with like headsets on and screaming down the headsets at each other.
It's a game you can proper imagine. Just you get on your feet, go no, and things like that. Oh man, I can't believe it! Oh yes, I got that goal. What are you doing? I passed it to you. Proper, really cool game. And I think we should get online and have a go once the servers are fixed. There's also when I was having a little bit of research about the servers not working and saw the old Hug of Death line. A few people have been suffering from overheating PS4s with it, so just be careful if you're going to play it. Don't leave it on the menu screen because there's a bug on the menu screen that seems to be overheating some PS4s. You'll notice it because your fans will start to go crazy. Now they're working on a fix for that as well. So just to make people aware, if you're going to have a go, don't just walk out of the room and leave it on the menu screen because it could have a detrimental effect on your PS4. Apart from that, a great game, and what?
Yikes!
Yeah, it's good. You know, I give it definitely. It's got my recommendation. I'm going to have a go later.
That's fantastic. I've actually downloaded it. I before we started recording, I kind of fired up my PS4 and downloaded that, and also the sticks. You know, the one we were talking about last week, which was that kind of stealthy. I downloaded that as well, and I've got Geometry Wars on my Vita. So they're downloading right now. I left the PS4 on as we came up. So that's kind of downloading. So hopefully it'll be done by the time. Now I don't want it to detract me from Arkham Knight, but I might have to have a bit of a go now because it sounds like really good fun.
Yeah, this is the thing. So I want to play The Witcher, but I sort of want to play that as well. But then at least that's not you don't have to invest. You can have a quick go on that. Apart from that, a bit of Spelunky. I streamed it the other day and actually completed it the hard way while streaming for the first time, which was good. You joined me. I don't know if you saw me complete it though because it took a while. I was on for 2 hours, 2.25 hours, I think it was, before I clocked it, and that was fun.
Yeah, I popped in and I had a look because it was really cool because what I was doing was I was playing Arkham Knight. And it was one of those tank sections. And I was playing Arkham Knight. So what I did was on the Xbox One, you double tap and you can snap in on the right hand side. So I had your kind of spelunkiness happening on the right hand side, and then I was playing Batman on the left, and it was good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start the news section. In this week's news section, we'll talk about the biggest launch of 2015 so far, the first look of a long-awaited Spark favourite, and Minecraft gets a story. So can you start us off, Antony?
I can indeed. Now, talking about Arkham Knight, the first piece of news that I have is that DLC, the Season Pass, gets its first piece of DLC, which is, as we were talking about before, it's Batgirl, A Matter of Family, which is a prequel to the events that are in Arkham Knight. So this kind of shows how Barbara Gordon went from being Batgirl to her role as Oracle. So very interesting. So you're playing just as Batgirl. I think Robin's in there as well. So this now has a release date, and the release date is July the 14th for people who have bought the Season Pass, July 21st for the people that haven't, and you can buy it separately on July the 21st, and that I think is about £5.79 for if you haven't bought the Season Pass. So the Season Pass was £32, and that gives you a whole load of content that we went through before. But if you don't want to do that, but you fancy this kind of Batgirl levels, and it does promise multiple missions, side quests, and lots more. And so it's £5.79. So, and it was quite interesting because on Eurogamer today, they dropped a trailer for it as well. So it's set in a fun fair. It's set in so you kind of can guess who I'm hinting at is back in this, and it looks very interesting. I mean, as a Batman fan, I think it's going to follow loosely going to follow Killing Joke, the Alan Moore graphic novel, but the kind of premise is that Commissioner Gordon has been kidnapped by the Joker, and so Batgirl and Robin are off to save him. So I can't wait to play this. Hopefully, I'll be finished the story. So I've got a Harlequin level to do. I got as part of the Season Pass. So I've got the Harlequin level to do, and then there'll be the Batgirl one. So there's just so much to play. Yeah,
I quite like the way that this sounds like it's kind of its own isolated entity. You can just play this completely separate from the main game that you're playing. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not in Gotham City. It takes place in a fun fair. So it's just it's a theme park that's. I'm just reading now from Eurogame. It's a theme park that's built on top of an oil rig.
Oh, yeah, I did read
the Joker has rigged to be a massive death trap. So what it's doing there is it's kind of keeping you in the constraints of that. So you're not running around Gotham as Batgirl. You're just kind of on that oil rig. So it's just contained, and it looks like it's going to be a load of fun.
Yeah, and a nice sort of change of environment probably as well from the streets of Gotham. That's a whole different sort of aesthetic to enjoy. Does it give you an ETA of sort of like what they expect the playtime will be for that adventure?
No, I can't see that. Kind of skimming the article in front of me, I can't see that there is any kind of how long it'll take. But I guess it's kind of, it all depends how, because they're offering side missions as well. So it's about kind of how long you take to kind of go through it. And I do think these things are quite subjective, but because there's collectibles, there's Easter eggs, you get to enjoy the Joker, and I do hope that Troy Baker is back as the Joker, because that would be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. So the next thing up is Journey, which I've mentioned one or two times. Is actually getting a release date on PS4. Oh wow! I love Journey. I really loved it on PS3. I like all those sort of games. I love Flow. I love Flower. I love Journey as well. And I've been really eager to sort of play it again. On the PS4, and I think I sort of was talking about it either, if it wasn't the last podcast, it might have been the podcast before, about where is Journey. I think I might have predicted that it may be a free game given away at E3 as sort of an apology maybe for the cock up of Drive Club, but that wasn't to be. But anyway, I was sort of thinking, where is it? Is it off the radar? But here it is. It's coming out on PS4, and it's set to be released on July the 21st. So that's really great. It's going to be 60 frames per second and 1080p. The frame rate was 30 frames per second on the PS3. So maybe I'll feel a difference in control. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, I'm going to play it all the way through again, and I'm going to really enjoy it. I really like that game. So yeah, Journey. You've played it, haven't you, Antony? You like it, don't you?
I have indeed, yeah. I played it one Saturday night. I think it may have even been a recommendation by you, sir, that you just kind of said, try this game, and I just downloaded it, played it in one sitting, and absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And it's worthwhile noting that if you did buy it, like you and I, if you did buy it on the PS3, that it's actually free on the PS4, so it's cross-buy. If you put it on PS3, you get it for free on PS4.
Yeah, that's another reason why I've just been keen on it, because I thought, there's a game that I really love, and I've already paid for it, so I'm gonna get it for free, which I just think is class, really. So yeah, that's coming out on July the 21st. Another release date piece of news is for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which we've talked about before. The trailer looks absolutely fantastic, and that's coming out on July the 15th. So there's going to be plenty actually to do after The Witcher and Batman are finished with, just with those two, though probably shorter experiences, obviously, but two release dates there to look out for the diary. Yeah, really cool.
Excellent stuff. I can't wait for both of those. I mean, they're two very different experiences, but I can't wait to play both of those. Absolutely, can't wait. So up next is, again, we're talking, this episode should be called the Ryan McCaffrey Love Fest, because up next is No Man's Sky. Now, IGN First, which is something that Ryan runs, IGN First is showing this month, No Man's Sky. So they've got a month-long, if you don't know what IGN First is, it's a month-long spotlight on one game. So what they do is they just focus on one game, and they kind of, throughout the month, they give you different kind of tidbits, information, playthroughs, etc. And this month it's No Man's Sky. And so what they did was they launched this in July, and the first thing that they launched was a 18-minute playthrough with Sean Murray. So there's a group of guys in what looked like a quite comfy gaming theatre, and they had an 18-minute walkthrough of No Man's Sky. So we was actually seeing kind of what that moment-to-moment gameplay looks like. Have you seen this, Darren?
I have, yeah, I have. And
it looks fantastic, doesn't it?
And yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, as we've said before, and it's just so smooth as well. I find that the motion in the game is also just so silky smooth, the way everything moves. I thought it looked great, and it was great to just sit there and watch 18 minutes of uninterrupted No Man's Sky, because E3, and he sort of alluded to it at the time when he was on the stage, Sean Murray, he was like, I've only got 3 minutes to sort of show you what I can on No Man's Sky, and there's such a demand to see sort of more and get an idea of what you're actually doing in the game. So that was great that we actually got to see a bit more of a rounded part of the game and what you'll be doing there. Yeah, he started the bit that I think he started, or when I tuned in anyway, he was already on a planet walking around, and that was right. And he was swimming, and he saw some fish, and then he was like, "Yeah, so we can scan these fish, all the species that you can scan, and then upload at the beacons that we've seen, then give you the currency, which are units of the currency in the game, and that enables you to buy like better ships or different ships and better equipment or better guns, all to help you on your quest." Well, though it's quite open-ended, so on your quest to get to the centre of the universe, or to enable you and help you with anything else that you want to do within the game, or such as trading, combat, or the plethora of things that you can do there. Looked awesome. Really like it. It hasn't sort of put me off. It hasn't made me think that my expectation was too great. I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. Yeah, and the silky smooth transmissions from planet to getting in the ship to taking off to going out of the atmosphere to space. Oh, it's just a joy to watch, isn't it?
It really was. I mean, it was quite interesting to see that, when you're discovering things, like I say, like that fish and elements and places, you can only claim them as yours, and get rewarded with the in-game currency, which is units, if you upload them to Atlas. Now, Atlas is that, as you were saying, that giant computer that records your progress. Now, if you die between finding that fish or discovering that planet and uploading to Atlas, then it didn't happen. And I really like that, because in the demo it was quite funny. There was like this goat looking creature, and they decided just to kind of I think they were just walking, and they went in the way of the goat's path, and it just started hitting them and started chasing them. So they ended up killing this goat. And then loads of sentinels come, and sentinels are kind of what police the different planets, and their wanted level level, a bit like Grand Theft Auto, started to rise, and then they started taking out the Sentinels, and then it just all got very messy after a while. I mean, it was just a fantastic playthrough. It was just really interesting.
It was really cool, and it was good to see sort of Sean and Ryan just chatting. Like, Sean gave Ryan the choice, didn't he, with the goat? He was like, yeah, the goat's attacking us, what do you want to do? Ryan was like, kill it. And he's like, are you sure, you don't have to? And he was like, yeah, you've got a gun, let's kill it. So they killed it, and then the Sentinels came, as you say, and then we saw that 5-star rating. So, and he said, yeah, things escalate pretty quickly, and they did, didn't they? When he got to 5 stars, sort of a tank appeared, and it was all over pretty quickly. Though it'd be interesting to see when you've got better weapons what would happen there. But
I mean, he had a ship there, and he kind of just jumped in it. But he was saying, this was a very basic ship that had quite a large cargo hold. But as you say, he just jumped in it, took off, and then broke the atmosphere, and then he was outside and he was, for a moment, he was just watching people come to a space station and dropping things off. I've never seen a game that you have this much choice. He could have just sat there. He could have just sat there for a while, and just watched the kind of ships coming in and out of the port, and at one point there was a battle happening because some pirates just landed. I can find myself. I'll be getting lost in this game. It just kind of fills me, as you can tell, it fills me with excitement just kind of talking about it, because I haven't been on the fence with No Man's Sky, but I've been worried that it would never be able to live up to this expectation, and that playthrough blew me away. I don't know about you, but it just really it made me happy, and I realised that this game is actually going to live up to expectations.
Yeah, I've had faith in it from the start because I've wanted it to be so good so much, and so I've just ditched the sort of thinking, oh no, it won't deliver, just because everything I've seen I've liked. And yeah, there has been a little bit of a concern about it could be a little bit too vacuous because of just the space that's there. It might be lonely times and stuff, but I mean, you can make your own fun, I imagine. And I like you say before, the way that you've got to sort of bank what your findings to get the currency, because that just gives it a little bit more excitement as well. That a little bit like maybe Dark Souls or Bloodborne with your souls. It's like, you've built up so much that you've discovered you need to get back to that beacon without getting killed, and there's going to be some real sort of pressure and excitement there. It's really good. I just love it. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think it could work well. I was watching it when he got in the ship and flew off, and you got that sort of cockpit view, and he left the planet and went into space, and he was watching the space battles and what have you, and the people just arriving, watching the ships go by. I was thinking, something that would work well with Oculus, wouldn't it? Something like that. I think it'd be, because it seems quite a slow-paced game. So even the first-person shooter parts and the first-person running around, because it seems to be of a slower pace, it could work well with VR, because like Call of Duty and things, reputedly, they don't work very well because they're too fast action. It doesn't fit for an HMD, that's head-mounted device, very well. But this seems decidedly and purposely a bit more of a slower pace, the way you sort of glide around. And I was thinking, I wonder if they're working in tandem with Oculus on this. Who knows? Yeah,
no, I thought exactly the same. When you're walking, because for me, it wasn't so much those space battles.
Oh, Morpheus, sorry. It'd be Morpheus because it's PS4, sorry, not Oculus. It'd be Morpheus on PS4.
But I was thinking the same thing, you land on that planet and you're looking, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look around. So if that just encompassed you in a head-mounted display, it would be amazing. And I mean, what they have had, another article from IGN first went up today, and they were talking about currencies and what you do in the game, and they've created their own periodical table. So when you mine, or when you get rewards, you get little icons and symbols appear on the screen, and that's all of the different elements that you're building in. And what they're saying is, similar to Minecraft, I guess, it is a crafting, exploring world that you have there, so you can combine elements. And now what Hello Games are not going to do is tell everybody what goes with what. So they want people to discover it themselves and place them onto forums and start talking. So you'll try this element with this element, or this gun, and I'll add this to it, and things like that. And so that it just sounds amazing. And they also said that people can actually just spend time in this game buying and selling commodities if they wanted. If that's what floats your spaceship, then that's what you could do. You can just sell commodities in this game. You don't have to go exploring. Let other people do that. You can just fly around. But one of the things that I really liked in the playthrough was there was a space battle happening. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a space battle where the ship was blown up, or they jettisoned their cargo a little bit before they jumped to light speed, and he just swooped down and just picked it up because he
just scooped it up. Yeah,
it was just falling, and then they just kind of went past it, and then suddenly you saw all the icons appear at the bottom of the screen. Fantastic game. And then, what we were talking about earlier, this is a game I don't mind if it gets delayed. I wouldn't mind maybe an alpha or a beta to, test those servers just to make sure everything is okay. But, if they had to delay it, I would be disappointed, as I was saying before, but I want this game to just work because it's amazing. And there was that one point where he just kept pulling out and pulling out and pulling out. And there was more and more planets, more and more galaxies, and I just couldn't believe how much is in this game. But as I said, it's all maths. It's just all maths. So that's kind of what it's procedural generated, and it blows my mind, this game, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, I absolutely am totally with you on this. I love this game. It's, for me, never mind Elite Dangerous. This is the Elite 2 that I always wanted. It's just fantastic. I love procedural generation. I love the fact that it's infinite possibilities almost. I love the fact that the recorded amount of time that we've already recorded isn't long enough to explore the universe. I especially like the fact that when Ryan asked him what might be at the centre of the universe, he said it could be Peter Molyneux, and that made me chuckle.
I really want that to happen. You imagine you unlock the centre of the universe and there's Peter Molyneux going, I want to tell you about Fable.
Yeah. This is a great new idea I've had. There he is. It was all just an advert.
Yes.
A playable trailer.
And do you know what? Sean Murray then takes off like this face mask, and really he is Peter Molyneux. Maybe Sean Murray is this generation's Peter Molyneux. Let's hope not.
Wow.
But maybe
don't say that, because the game will be rubbish. But that made me laugh. And just all these things, all the facets to it. The fact that you can just trade if you want to, it reminds me of Elite. And there's just so much more to do, and I'm hoping it's going to be good. But the slower pace just made me think it might be good as a VR experience as well, whether it will be on release or whether that'll come as a mod or whether it won't come at all. I just thought it'd be a good fit, and now's the time when they may be working hand in hand with Morpheus to do that. So we'll see. But whether or not it's working with that, I'm happy just to play it as the game, and I can't wait to just fly around. I'm wondering if maybe, because it's just going to be such a massive game, I wonder if they're going to have factions and things like that in it. You can join sort of a clan or whatever and work together. I'm not sure if that's been answered yet, but there's many questions to ask about the game. But I'm grateful for this sort of this preview into the world, and it's a day one buy for me, for most certainly.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for me too as well. And and IGN First is happening all month long, so we're going to get more and more information as the month goes on. And it's quite funny because normally with a game, and a movie, I kind of watch that initial trailer, I read a bit about it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm fine on this. But for something about this game that I just want, I'm just hungry for more and more information on it, because I think it's one of those games where it's not going to spoil it. It's not really a story mode, so I want to know what I'm doing. I want to know how I can play it. I almost want to start thinking about strategies. I don't know if you ever played it, but there was a game called Don't Starve on PS4. Coming to Xbox One soon as well. But that was another one of those games where I was just, I loved it. I was kind of on forums and I was watching YouTube clips and I was, really just kind of finding out as much as I can about it, so I didn't die every time the night fell. And this and No Man's Sky kind of has a very similar thing to me. I want to find out more. I want to know the ins and outs of this game. It's making me very nerdy for this.
Yeah, it's captured the hearts and minds, I think, of gamers whatever they're into. I've got friends that sort of have lost their spark in a way. They're not so into games, but I showed them this and they're like, wow, I'd buy a PS4 for that.
Yes.
Because they just want to roam about. Like there was a game, one of my friends, he loved a game called Hunter on the Amiga, and that was like one of the first kind of attempts at an open world. Fantastic little isometric vector graphics game where you could get in a boat or you could get in a Jeep and drive about. It was amazing at the time. Doesn't hold up too well today, but still it's a good sort of peek at what was trying to be done back then in sort of the late 80s, early 90s. And yeah, showed him No Man's Sky, and he's just like, wow, if that comes out and it's as good as it looks, I'll be getting it, and I'll get a PS4 if that's what it takes to play it. So this could be a system seller, They're treating it as a sort of a first party in-house game, aren't they, really? And I suppose that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But is it a timed exclusive to Sony?
They haven't said any more apart from it's coming to PS4 and I think PC. There's been no mention of Xbox One yet. Of the stuff that the interviews I've seen with Sean Murray, he's always got a PlayStation controller in his hand whenever he's showing it. It really hasn't come out of the PlayStation camp yet, so I don't know if it's coming to Xbox One. But like you, I'm day one. This will get me on my PS4 for a long time.
Yeah. I think maybe I was getting a bit mixed up with the fact that Elite Dangerous is first on Xbox One there. But yeah, I'm just so on board for this game. I absolutely can't wait. It's sort of like my favourite game, and it isn't even out.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It is kind of, it's one of those games where, do you think it's going to come out this year? Do you think we would get to see this year, or do you think it's going to be next year?
If it was going to come out this year, I would have thought Sony would have announced it at E3, rather than being so coy. I don't know if you remember, but when Sean was demoing it, he said, I know you all want to know more. He said, I will get a release date to you soon. And the way that he said soon made me think that they may give us a release date this year, but I don't think the release will be this year. What do you think would be the wisest time to release this? It'd either be in the flurry of games, sort of spring 2015. If not, the wise man, even though it'd do my head in, wait for the November bundle of releases in 2015.
You see, selfishly, I want it to be summer 2016. I want it to be summer 2016. For the reason being is there's a lull of games, long nights, so I can stay up as late as I can playing this game. This time next year would be, saying that, there's not a lot of games this year because we're playing Arkham Knight. We've got Rocket League. But normally, when there's that kind of lull of games.
The summer games drought.
Yeah, bring it out then, and then I would just love that game. But I want it. Will they mention anything at the Paris Game Show? Because Sony are going to be at Gamescom. They're just not having a conference at Gamescom. Microsoft are having one, but Sony aren't. So are they saving it for the Paris Game Show? The Paris Game Show, are we going to get a little bit of it, a little bit more of it there? How many more times can they show it off? I know I'm saying I want to see everything about this, but how many more times can they have Sean Murray on a stage showing something without saying it's coming out or there is a beta, here? I think they've got to do something soon, but like I say, if it's not working, for all we know, it could be running beautifully, no problems, and they're just tarting it up. So, if they are ready to surprise us, because don't forget, coming into 2015, into the winter, the fall 2015, apart from the Uncharted collection, Sony has nothing. They have third-party games, and that's it. They've got Call of Duty, they've got Assassin's Creed, they've got Fallout, they're ginormous games of their own, but they haven't got any first-party exclusives, where when you look on the Xbox One, you've got Forza, you've got Tomb Raider, you've got Gears of War, you've got Halo. Are they
it's all multi-format for Sony, and it's not good. It's not good enough, really. They've not planned it well for this year at all, and that's why their E3, as good as it was all wind and promises. But I'd say one prediction: it'll be out before Final Fantasy VII, and it'll be out before Shenmue 3.
Yep, most definitely. But I say May, June 2016 is my prediction.
I think that if not the Paris conference. Maybe they'll wait till like TGS or something to make an announcement of the release date. But I'd also say, it seems when games are getting an IGN first, they're pretty close to release.
Yes.
And this is we've been discussing it. The 18 minutes has been released on the IGN first. The IGN firsts, all of them, have been like a few months before release.
Yeah.
So if we follow that pattern, there's a good chance it could be this year.
Absolutely, I would, or a long beta this year. Maybe they'll get to the end of IGN first and go, next month we're going to open up a beta. Maybe they'll have some big announcement at the end.
If it was me, yeah, because if I was doing the PR or the marketing, why would you build up that momentum and hype over a month of exclusive interviews, exclusive gameplay footage, all building the momentum up over that month without having something meaty at the end of it? Because if you're not going to announce something fairly major at the end of that month, you're going to lose that. Well, for a game like this, you're probably not. But do you see what I mean?
I do indeed. No, you're a smart man. No, I think you could be onto something there. Let's hope. But then again, do you really want No Man's Sky going up against Fallout 4? I
don't care. I'll get them all.
I don't need sleep. Sleep's underrated. I'll just game all the time.
If I had to pick, well, because they're so different, I could switch between them. It's not like two RPGs.
No.
Well, it kind of is two RPGs, but because one's space and one's fantasy, or the completely different science fiction world, I could maybe alternate, and then I suppose one of them would just get its hooks in. We shall see what happens.
Yes, I mean, that's a scary thought because I've already got kind of time banked for Halo 5 and Gears of War Ultimate Edition, so it's scary, but it's a good problem to have if it is out. But just to spend a couple of weekends in that game right at the start to just enjoy it, get kind of soaked up in it, joining that conversation would be fantastic. Because then you could then leave it for a while and come back and see the mess that we've made to the universe.
Yeah, and I think unlike a game like, we'll say, Rocket League or Call of Duty or a lot of these online games, this isn't going to be one that's going to be certain death, if you leave it. I think you can leave this. I think it's going to be a game that you can come back to. A little bit like, you're leaving The Witcher and then coming back to it. I know that's not a multiplayer game, but in the same respects, apart from that people will have better stuff, from what I believe, it's going to be quite disparate. People are going to be spread out quite widely in the universe, so it's not going to be that much of a worry. So I think people can just happily step in and out, and there's not going to be there'll be a desperate rush with some people, but it's not going to affect the people that want to take it easy so much as being that, right, you're going to be rubbish at the game, because that's not the way that this game plays. So it's going to be a game that you can dip in at start and then maybe, if you choose to, have a rest. And I think it's going to be something that you can just play with the time. If it doesn't get boring, you could feasibly just play. This could be a game that you could dip in for the whole life of your console.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It could just keep going and going. And I'll tell you what, any boring telephone conferences while I'm working from home, I would happily just have just have No Man's Sky kind of playing whilst I was fully attentive on those telephone conferences.
Yeah, well, like Minecraft, for instance, never gets boring. And if with the mods they could add, you could start making bases or something. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless. So this could be something quite special.
Absolutely.
It already is.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
It's already pretty special. But what we'll do is we'll report more on IGN first next week as well, if they give us some more information, and we'll report it right here.
Yeah, we will indeed. So our next piece of news, I believe, is from your good self as well, Antony.
It is indeed. Talking about kind of the bevy of games that are out now, Batman Arkham Knight, my favourite game at the moment, it was released a couple of weeks ago, and it's the biggest launch of 2015 so far, and they have said it's comfortably beating The Witcher 3, which was the previous best-selling of 2015. So Arkham Knight's had a great start. It's currently top of the charts. Number 2 is Jurassic World, and then we've got Elder Scroll Online, followed by Yoshi's Woolly World. But yeah, so Arkham Knight, despite all of that launch problems that they've had on the PC, definitely for the next gen consoles, it's really establishing itself, and it looks like it's selling by the bucket loads.
Yeah, and this is the thing, it's a good thing for the games industry making money to make more games to keep us happy. Probably not so much of a good thing for gamers that are disappointed with the results, like the PC gamers, and they might think, well, it sells bucket loads anyway, where's the incentive to make it better next time? But I don't think anybody goes out purposely to make a bad job. But then when we discussed about it getting outsourced to a developer and the port on the PC only being worked on by a few people, it makes you think, well, there's a problem there. Why would they release it? It confuses me. But it just goes to show that all the moaning and all the bad press doesn't really affect it. It's still going to sell bucket loads, make a load of money. Kind of annoying for the quality issues, but overall, it's a great game. I mean, the Metacritic reviews must speak, some of the truth. I don't know where it is on Metacritic, but when I first looked, it was getting loads of 9 out of 10s. So yeah, I bet it is a good game. It is. I can't sing its praises enough. It really.
It's a really sorry state that the PC launch has tainted anything, because this is what they've been building up to over those other Batman games. It is that definitive Batman. There has been moments where it's made me jump. There's been moments where I feel like I am Batman. There is. I feel sorry for my wife because I'm sitting there with my headphones on. She's trying to play Lego Jurassic World, and I'm shouting and screaming and whooping. I must be the worst person to sit next to. She hasn't got headphones on. She's got her kind of the TV sound, and I've got my headphones on. I'm like, look at this, and so, but it is a good game, and don't forget, the PC, especially on Steam, where they had to withdraw it, that won't count towards this chart track because it doesn't look at digital downloads. So my download doesn't count. And I think we've definitely got to start, if we're going to continue doing charts and continue doing these numbers, we need to start looking at digital games as well. And, Microsoft, Sony, Steam, Nintendo, we all know how many units. They know how many times that's been downloaded. So they need to. I think they need to start sharing, because you will get a better picture of kind of what's downloaded and what's online. I mean, I know for me, I've said previously that I'm definitely making that transition now into a digital only.
Yeah, and especially with backwards compatibility, there's even more reason to jump on board. If we could be guaranteed that the next console will be backward compatible with the digital purchases, you'd be thinking, well, why not?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's it. I'm happy to start building my library. I do it with iTunes. I'm still buying Blu-rays, only because I'm buying 3D Blu-rays. So when there's a 3D Blu-ray, I'm buying that because I enjoy watching 3D, and they don't do 3D on iTunes. But for music, some TV programs, I'm just downloading via iTunes. So I'm definitely making that transition across all of my media. I'm doing it with comic books as well. So I'm definitely kind of in that digital camp.
Yeah, I'm not so into it just yet, only because I like to. Well, I don't really do it that much, but I like the idea that I can sell the physical game that I'm not going to play anymore to get the next game. Do you know what I mean? Just to make it cheaper. Because I get sick of. I got this big collection of games, and I was like, I got annoyed with it and started just getting rid of them. So I was always like, well, just keep this rolling on, unless it's an amazing game. Like, for instance, I won't get rid of Bloodborne, I won't get rid of The Witcher and things like that. But with my game taste these days, every game I buy, I sort of won't get rid of. So that sort of negates what I'm saying. So maybe I'll be jumping in too. But I'm quite the same. It's saw some Blu-ray collection the other day, and Claire was like, oh, look, you got this on Blu-ray. I didn't know. I think it was The Hobbit, and it was the extended edition. And she was like, oh, I didn't know they did an extended edition. And I was like, no, never did I. And she was like, we could just get this. And I was like, yeah, but there's no point buying anything in a physical format because it's just going to get made redundant. I was like, what's the point in buying a Blu-ray when we've got 4K around the corner? It's going to like Star Wars syndrome. We buy it on VHS, buy it on DVD, buy it on Blu-ray, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, sort of like just sort of get it digitally, and then you can just upgrade it or whatever, and not have a disc lying around forever. I think you're absolutely right. I think it's becoming archaic to buy physical media because it's changing, and it's better to have your digital store with all your stuff in it. I think what just needs to be sort of worked out a little bit better and sort of refined is the way that you can keep that, and that can pass on as things get upgraded. So say if you bought a film or a game, so with films, for instance, if you bought a 1080p quality film, you should just have to pay a little upgrade to get it in 4K when it's 4K'd up, when we get to 4K, if that is the next step. And a little bit like an upgrade to games, I think it should be sort of made clear to everyone that consoles and games will, as much as possible, be made backward compatibility on the next generation, so that we can then just pay an upgrade, or that to play them in like a new enhanced form, or they'll just be there to play in the original form without you even having to have the disc. And I think that'd be a great future, and it's going to be great for the distribution of the games themselves. Like Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo can just do it themselves. They can track a lot easier, like you say, per click of download. It'd be very easy to track those stats. But on the other hand, they've got to keep the game stores, the physical retailers sweet, because they distribute the consoles. So until that question's sort of been sorted, until the publishers, until Microsoft, Sony and Nintendo can cut out the retailer and deliver the console to the consumer and fulfill demand, and Nintendo would already need a few lessons on that. But until they can do that, they've got to keep the retailer sweet. And that's why I think that the digital prices aren't competitive, because they sort of need to keep them sweet for the sale of the consoles. But once Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo perhaps get into gear with providing the hardware to the consumer, it'll be a scary time for the likes of Game, and anywhere that's stocking the hardware, and then we may be looking at a digital only future. Just a guess, but that's something that I think could happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Microsoft are already cutting out the middleman, because, in the US, they have Microsoft stores. There's a lot of those that are popping up. They are, you go to any mall in the US. When I was in San Francisco last month, you went in there was an Apple store, obviously, in San Francisco. There was an Apple store one side of the road and a Microsoft store the other, and then there I could pick up games, I could pick up downloadable, or download tokens for my Xbox. I could pick up an Xbox there, I could pick up all of the accessories. So it looks like Microsoft may even be starting it. I mean, I totally agree with you about kind of the upgrading, because I've done it every time. I've bought stuff on DVD, I've bought stuff on Blu-ray, then I'm going to buy stuff on 4K. And it's I would have preferred just paying a little bit, handing that copy in and getting another copy back for a fraction of the price. But they're there to make money, so they're not going to do it because idiots like us continue to buy Star Wars again and again and again. So yes, yeah,
I think it'll get a point though where that will become so sort of ridiculous that it'll become unacceptable, and I think we're starting to see that now. And like Apple's have got their shop, you say Microsoft have got their stores. I've seen Sony stores around, but they're not the kind of store that I'm sort of thinking of here. But yeah, I could see that happening, and we'll see. We'll see in 10 years if we're still doing this, and I say, yeah, we called that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there we go.
So the next piece of news is with you, talking about kind of someone who we lost faith in. You've got another piece of news about Sega.
Oh yeah, losing faith, eh? So Sega have, in a chat with Famitsu, which is sort of the number one games magazine in Japan, they've admitted that Sonic, I mean, not in so many words, but that Sonic's rubbish these days. They haven't been able to make a good Sonic game. I mean, I don't know how they haven't been able to just make a good Sonic game. It seems like it's got fans. I mean, it's been so long since it was big. It's like 1990, 89 or something when Sonic the Hedgehog came out on the Mega Drive, and it was amazing. And it was that good that there's still a love for it. But the last few releases have just been like just annoying people more and more and more, and it's surprising that they can even like hold their head up in public. But To Infinite reports that there was a Famitsu interview with the Sega CEO and President Hajime Satomi, and they brought up the quality of their future games. I'm just reading this from the site so that I get it correct. So, yeah, the CEO said, "I've been talking to the employees about how we should start putting serious consideration into quality from this point on." No, I won't interject, I'll just read it. "Especially in North America and Europe, where it's always been more of a focus on schedules." I believe that if we can't maintain quality, it would be better not to release anything at all. Well, we've been saying this I can't help it, I'm going to interject. We've been saying this like all the way through our
You just can't help but put a little bit of Darrenism.
I can't. When I'm reading this, it's just like, these people getting paid loads. It's like, release
terrible.
quality.
You'd be absolutely terrible interviewing that guy, wouldn't you? You'd be there, you'd be eye-rolling and go, yeah, but what about this?
No. If I was doing it, I'd be the epitome.
You'd be very professional.
I would. Yes. I'd be the epitome of professionalism. But as I'm not, I'd probably just go white or something though. So I believe that if we can't maintain quality, it would be better not to release anything at all. We did our best to build a relationship of mutual trust with older fans of Sega, but looking back, there have been some titles that have been partially betrayed. But looking back, there have been some titles that have partially betrayed that trust in the past 10 years. Sega in the 90s was known for its brand, but after that we've lost the trust, and we were left with nothing but reputation. For this reason, we want to win back the customers' trust and become a brand once again. So that's what Sega are saying, and I'd love them to fulfill that, but the track record isn't great at the moment. The Sonic games they've been releasing have just been shovelware, and that's probably putting it politely. And as I was just getting frustrated with, then it's like, how can they not make a good Sonic game? Even just a good 2D side-scrolling game like the original Sonic, like the iOS one, that was actually made by a fan, but it was that good that Sega endorsed it and allowed it to be sold under their name on the iTunes store. That's a great game. It's got like Sonic. Is it Sonic 3?
They did one on Sonic on Xbox Live Arcade, didn't they? It was going to be an episodic Sonic game, and they only brought out episode 1, I believe. I know I only bought episode 1, and that was a side-scrolling, fast-paced kind of, it's back to how Sonic used to be. Because I bought a Mega Drive because of Sonic. I was day one with Sonic 2, where they brought in Tails, and I think I was probably day one with Sonic 3 as well. But and I think I even bought my Dreamcast because of Sonic Adventures. So I was a big Sonic fan, and I was, as much as a Mario fan as I am, I was a big Sonic fan as well. So it has been quite disheartening to just see him, almost being diluted as the years have gone on.
Yeah, I was there as well. My mate showed me Sonic on the Mega Drive, and what was it? I think I must have had a SNES at the time. And I saw that, and I was just like, wow. And I went and bought a Mega Drive. And the impact of that still holds today. That's why Sonic's still, alive today.
I even enjoyed Sonic Fighters. That's how much of a Sonic fan I was.
Wow. You're a glutton for enjoyment, though.
I really am. I was just like, this is great. And there was that other game that I absolutely loved, which was all of the Sega characters fighting. It was that time where everything was a beat 'em up, wasn't it? And this had people from every game, and there was like even someone from Crazy Taxi was in there, and that was a fantastic game, and they included Sonic in that.
Oh, like Marvel versus Capcom sort of game.
Yeah, a bit like that, but it was kind of a 3D beat 'em up. Fight 'em up, I was about to say. Fight 'em up. There you go, new one. It was a 3D beat 'em up, and that was and it is quite when Sega stopped making consoles, I think it was the right move for them. And I just thought we were going to get quality after quality from Sega, but it just they just started to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I mean, I loved my Dreamcast. I did feel that Sonic Adventure, if I shifted away from the graphics, which were amazing at the time, like everything on the Dreamcast was, it was a good machine. I loved that machine. I felt there was something not quite right, though I did play it all the way through. And after that, they just got worse and worse. I think one of the worst games I've ever played is... Did you ever play the arcade sort of Sonic 3D with the tracker ball?
No, I didn't know this existed.
Oh my goodness me, yeah. Yeah, it was a game called... I think it's called Sonic 3D. It might go with under some other names as well. And it was an arcade, and it had a tracker ball in the middle. I think it was like 1, 2 or 3 player. And you basically used the tracker ball to navigate like really, really narrow platforms, and it was like really, really difficult to control, and it was just terrible. It was a really terrible game. I'll find out the name of it and maybe mention it next week. But yeah, that was really terrible. That was probably at the height of its popularity, though, and got away with it. But they just seem to dwindle more and more, and it's a shame. But Sega are saying, we we realise this, we admit it, we've done the wrong thing, and we're going to try and get the reputation and the fans back. So it will be very interesting to see what they come up with next for Sonic. And just the admission that they've brought out sort of games with a time scale in mind rather than quality just bewilders me, really.
But I think Japanese executives are a bit like that, aren't they? You know, if they have caused a problem or if they have messed up, they do publicly admit it. You know, they are publicly sorry. It must be the culture that's in Japan, but you see this time and time again where you get a CEO just kind of publicly saying, "Yeah, do you know what? We messed up." You know, and so it is quite refreshing to see. But at the same time, okay, try and fix it. It's going to be an uphill battle for Sega.
Yeah, and it's also been about 15 years since the last decent game, so it's a bit late with the apology. And like you say, it is part of their culture to sort of be hands up and say, "I humbly apologise." But maybe they haven't realised how badly the situation is until recently. But looking on the brighter side, it can only be a good thing if they bring out a good Sonic game.
Absolutely. If we get Sonic back, would you like 2D or 3D?
I'd like 2D, I think. I was just thinking of the game then in my mind, and I was thinking of kind of a 2D game, like, is it called Ollie Ollie? Because I was thinking of a sort of a combo builder kind of game. So have that sort of combo building up mechanic with stunts and tricks that you'd have in a skateboarding game, but with Sonic, 2D platformer, building up combos, tricks while negotiating the level, and I think that would be pretty cool.
Nice. There you go. Sega, if you're listening, his email address is Darren at gamersoflostpark.com.
Yeah, you can, and I'll tell you about some of the levels I've got in mind.
Indeed.
Cool.
So the next piece of story, the next news item, the next story that is with me, and Telltale have made me interested in Minecraft. Now, I know you can't say this in this day and age, but I'm not a big Minecraft fan. You know, my nephew, Ed, he's a ginormous Minecraft fan, and he tells me all about it, so I know about it. I've played it on the Vita. I bought it on the Vita because I was like, okay, you know, Ed is just so excited about it. I want to find out, you know, about this world, and I wanted to have a go, and I downloaded it on my Vita, and I must admit, for the first couple of train journeys, I was well into it. I was building my house, and I was quite happy in that little area, but the moment I went outside, it all just kind of went wrong and scary, and it just was like, I was like, no, I'm kind of done with this. But at Minecon at the weekend, so we had Minecon happening, it was in London this year, Minecon 2015, Telltale showed the first trailer of Minecraft Storymode. So this is your normal Telltale format. So it's a one-person narrative-driven story across 5 or 6 episodes with a single protagonist. Now, it piqued my interest straight away because it looks like Minecraft. It's that blocky graphics. But the story mode has this kind of 80s Goonies feel to it. Now, I've seen that kind of reference just thrown around a lot since that trailer, but it really does just look like a kind of an 80s movie. And it's basically what you're doing is you're playing a protagonist called Jesse. So you're not playing Steve, who is the main character in Minecraft. See, Ed, I listen. So you're playing Jesse throughout the entire season, and that guy is voiced by Patton Oswalt. Now, people who don't know who Patton Oswalt is, he was the voice of Ratatouille. He's a stand-up comedian in the US, very funny. His stuff's on Netflix. He was also in some others. He's appeared in a lot of sitcoms as well, and he's a very funny guy. So he's doing the voice. You've also got quite a few people from the Goonies as well. So you've got Corey Feldman, Martha Plimpton, and also Paul Rubens, who you know as Pee Wee Herman, is also in it. So they've just got this really good kind of 80s movie vibe to it. And so you're on an adventure. So you're on an adventure to slay the Ender Dragon, which is big in Minecraft world by all accounts. And you know, I'm interested. It's a very interesting game. I I don't know if they're going to be able to keep kids interested in this, because Telltale Games are normally kind of for your older audience. Even like Borderlands, there's kind of some profanity and you've got the violence of Game of Thrones and Walking Dead. So I'll be interested to see what this is like, and whether it is geared at, your son, for instance, Darren, or it's geared towards me, or is it geared towards the two of you guys playing together?
Yeah, I think it'll be geared as a family-friendly affair. I love Minecraft, and I was going to ask you, actually, I can't believe that you don't love Minecraft, because I thought you loved everything.
I do. I mean, I appreciate it. And when my nephew showed me, like when Edward showed me, I think when it first came to Xbox 360, both my nephews Edward and William, I went into their worlds and they were showing me what was what, and I was just like, yeah, this is fantastic. I can see it's like Lego for their generation. And what I couldn't kind of quite work out is what I was doing. So maybe I just need to be schooled more, and then I would be into it, because I'm not that type of person that's going to spend time creating these amazing structures. I'm more of that person that's probably going to do the mining for you and give you loads of resource.
Yeah, I absolutely love Minecraft. I bought it when it was in beta on the PC, and I've dipped in and out of it ever since. I play. That's actually the one reason I've got my Xbox One out still, is because I've got Minecraft on it. I bought it on the Xbox One because Microsoft acquired Mojang. They said Mojang at E3. I don't know if that was the
No,
correct one.
It is. I always thought it was Mojang, but it's actually pronounced Mojang.
Wow. And I felt such an idiot. They said Mojang, and I was like, you what?
What?
I thought it was Mojang.
I know, Mojang.
Mojang, so there we are. So when Microsoft acquired it, I thought, well, there's a game which probably wouldn't be wise to buy on PS4, because if anything is going to be its natural home, it's going to be the Microsoft platform. So I got it on my Xbox One, and I just love it. I play survival. I've got a survival game. I don't really play creative, because, like you say, I'm not up for making a one-to-one scale model of the Starship Enterprise or anything. I just haven't got the time, though I'd kind of love to. So I play on survival. And I've got a game ongoing where I'm doing okay for a guy that's an older guy with not that much time to spare. I showed my nephews my survival world, and they were like, "Wow, that's amazing." They said, "Did you do this in survival?" I was like, "Yeah," and they went, "That is cool." And they had a look round. So I've got a nice tower and stuff, and I've got a mine that's massive where I'll get my resources from. I've got a little base, and I've got a farm, and I've got a horse with horse armour. A little nod there to Oblivion's first DLC.
Yeah, was that extra? Did you have to buy that?
No. it was more than the game. So I really love Minecraft, and I was going to ask you, actually, because it was Minecon. I was surprised because it was in London. I thought you might have popped along.
No. Like I say, I'm not a big Minecraft fan, so I didn't. I was wondering if my nephews were going to go along. I would have probably tagged along with those, but those guys didn't go either. But it looked a ton of fun. I was watching some on Twitch. I was actually watching some of the coverage, because on Twitter I noticed that Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, and then we also had Craig Duncan, who's the head of Rare. There was a lot of people from Microsoft were saying, "I'm at Minecon." There was a lot of people tweeting. So I think if you were a gaming fan, you would have probably bumped into some very big wigs at Microsoft over the weekend. But it was interesting to note that when the guys were showing you around the floor, and it looked like a ton of fun, there wasn't just Microsoft stuff. There was an indie area, and there was also you could play Minecraft on Vita and also PS4 and PS3.
Yeah, all the platforms that support it. I mean, I just love it's like Lego, it's like virtual Lego, and I know you're into your Lego.
Oh, I love Lego.
And this is the thing. It's like I've seen T-shirts. I mean, I've got a few Minecraft T-shirts myself, and hats and stuff. I'm a cup, a mug. I'm bang into it. And I saw a T-shirt. It's like one more block, just one more block. It says, and I totally been there. And you're just there mining away, and you're just like, well, there's nothing behind this block. Let's carry on mining because I want to find that diamond ore. And it gets under your skin. I think it's an absolutely fantastic game. I can't commend it enough. You make up your own objective now. Some people don't like that, but they added this story mode in with the Ender Dragon and what have you, and so you can actually work towards completion. But it's just so cool. I love it. It's like, right, I mean, I remember I thought I'd like to build a castle that comes out of the ground, sort of on a hill, so it's defensible against the zombies and stuff. And I had this vision in my mind, and I was like, right, so what do I do? So I sort of punched a tree, made the first thing like a wooden pickaxe, and then got some stone and made a stone pickaxe. And then I started like crafting that. First of all, I got a spade and I cleared the area, and I built this. It's almost to get into a town from nothing. And you look back at it and you think, wow. And because I've done iterative saves as I've gone along, my son plays different saves because I don't sort of always make a copy for him to play on. In case he burns my village down like ransacks.
You don't allow him to play with your playset, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, sort of. I like to, I'm an inclusive dad and everything, but I sort of say, right, if you want to play this one, then that can be Sam 8. You're on Sam 8 at the moment. You're playing on Sam 9, so we'll make you a Sam 9, and he's quite happy with that.
Look, don't touch, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But you can also team up. You can play split screen up to 4 player. It's just I could talk forever about it. I really love it. But the interesting thing about this is the story looks really good. Mm-hmm. It looks fun and engaging. I'm definitely going to buy this Telltale game. I love the other ones. I've never had time, but I'll make time for this one. And it's interesting what you said about the Goonies, because they were going to make a Minecraft film, and it was going to be made. And basically, I forget who was going to make it, but I think about a year ago they decided not to bother. And the reason that was given from the guy that was making the film was that they had an idea, they had a screenplay ready, and they went to Mojang with it. And Mojang said that wasn't really what they wanted. That they didn't fit in with their idea of a Minecraft story. But all evidence leads to the fact that the story was a bit Goonies-esque. So that's really bizarre that, first of all, they rejected that, and that this Telltale game is going to be Goonies-esque, or like the Goonies. And secondly, it's as if the movie's going to be made, but in this form.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you can bet that there will be, season 1, season 2, and they will keep going if this is popular. Because, even in the trailer, which I've watched a couple of times, there were points where you could see, it's a bit like when you watch the Lego movie or when you watch any Pixar movie. There's chuckles for kids, slapstick chuckles for kids, but then there's also some stuff for the parents or for the older audience to also kind of laugh at. And I've always noticed that you get that in kind of Pixar and Lego and DreamWorks movies, and they've done that, and they've definitely hit that in this trailer. So so we get the first episode comes out this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it'll be good if it works on that sort of dual layers. Yeah. So as well as that, I was following the Minecon a little bit, and they also announced around about the same time they announced the Minecraft Telltale game, the Minecraft Windows 10 edition. So they're going to bring out a separate version of Minecraft for Windows 10. The beta is going to be available when Windows 10 goes live, which is on July the 29th. And it's only going to be the beta at first. If you already own the PC version, then you can get the beta for Windows 10 for free. And if not, while it's in beta period, you can get it for $10, which if you've got a PC and you're getting Windows 10, I would wholeheartedly recommend just getting the beta for $10, because that's what I did. I got it when it originally came out on PC. I was seeing more and more about Minecraft on the internet. And I thought, whatever this experience is, I want to have some. And it said the beta's going to end and then it's going to be full price. And I just dived in. And I'm so glad I did. It's a really fantastic game. So they're going to bring out a Windows 10 specific edition. So what's different, we may ask, because it's already available on Windows Mac, Windows Phone, iOS, Android, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4 and Vita. And Windows 10, and it's different. It can have slight differences on each format depending on the constraints. Like the PC is the biggest world that you can get because of the power that affords, and the Vita I think is probably the iOS is probably one of the smaller worlds in terms of how far you can walk and how much you can build. But you can there's possibilities are still virtually endless. So we have, I'm just going to look through Mojang's announcement and see if there's anything that actually looks new. So there's some Pocket Edition features in Minecraft Windows 10 Edition, along with some extra new stuff. So craft, create and explore online with up to 7 friends, all playing the same version, through local multiplayer or with your Xbox Live friends online. So that's interesting. Play online and local multiplayer with other Pocket Edition players, thanks to a free update. So that's good. Sort of multi-format, and this is all about probably universal apps on Windows 10. Multiple control schemes, that's fine. So you can use controller or touch and keyboard controls really, really easily. It says record and share gameplay highlights with built-in game DVR, and that's going to also be a function in Windows 10. So a lot of this sounds like part of the Windows 10 experience.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like very much aligned with the features in Windows 10 being lauded as the features of Minecraft. So it sounds almost like an update of Minecraft, just to put it in line with Windows 10, really.
So does that mean that if you had a Surface that you could be sharing you could share someone's world who was on maybe an Xbox One or in Windows 10, that you could share, you could all kind of collaborate on those different platforms?
That's what it sounds like, as long as you're running Windows 10 edition. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really good.
And that's probably going to be the ultimate evolution for everybody, because the people that have got the PC version, when they get Windows 10, they'll move to it because it's free.
Mm-hmm.
They'll align Xbox One with that. Don't know what they'll do for the platforms that aren't Microsoft, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I was wise to make the obvious choice and stick with Microsoft for my Minecraft purchase when I found out they acquired Mojang. So yeah, that's that, and we'll see what happens with Minecraft in the future. And yeah, if you haven't experienced it, go out there and have a go. I'd love you to get into it, Anthony, but I realise it's a time sapper. There's too many games.
Indeed. I think where when I was playing it on the Vita, maybe that isn't the best introduction to Minecraft. Maybe that isn't the best screen. Maybe my TV is a better screen to do it. Maybe get it on the iPad, and have a look and have a bit of a play around and see what happens with that.
Yeah,
so,
I wouldn't have thought touch would be great. It's all right on console. You can't beat PC. The way that you can place the objects with the mouse and keyboard's really good. And another reason to probably keep in touch with Minecraft is we're gonna get a HoloLens edition, aren't we, as well? So that will be interesting.
Yes, indeed. Maybe I'll have a chat with my nephew and get him to kind of school me, so show me exactly, because he has spent I think we had like about a 25-minute conversation once when he was visiting, and we was telling me about the Ender Dragon and how you get there, and he was telling me kind of how you get to this area, and it did sound fascinating. He had me captivated when he was telling me. So it was very interesting. So yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll download it and just have a bit of a fiddle around and see what happens.
Yeah. Just be warned. If you get the bug, it can take a lot of time. It's very addictive. And very fun. It's good, and that's why it's made so much money. That's why Microsoft thought it was worth all those billions of dollars to buy. It's a great game, and they use it in schools to promote team building and creativity and things like that. It's more than just a game. It's a learning tool. It's good. There's a documentary on Xbox about it, about Notch creating it and it going from just being not known and through that sort of great growth that it went through into becoming almost famous within the world of games and stuff. And he's a really humble guy and stuff. And for it to be, and then for it going on to be used in schools and stuff, it's a great documentary. I think it's just called Minecraft something or other, but you'll easily find it if you have a look. But yeah, so there we go. My next piece of news is mentioned AR, and this is a bit of VR stuff. A rumour that Xbox One could natively support Oculus Rift, and by natively support I mean not streaming to your PC. We're talking about actually plugging your Oculus into the Xbox One. It's an interesting rumour because the specs for the Oculus Rift don't match the Xbox One. They outpower it. It's a more powerful PC than the Xbox hardware that runs the Oculus, but Microsoft are partnered with Oculus, as we know from E3, and one particular site, Hardcore Gamer, mentioned that there's a game called Paranormal Activity VR for Xbox One, and the press release went into the fact that it was going to be compatible with all the different VR technologies, HTC Vive, Morpheus, Oculus Rift, and Xbox One and PS4, and they said that they were going to sort of have two kinds of game. So they sort of drilled down and questioned them and asked whether they meant by this press release that on the Xbox One you'd play it in that virtual living room that we saw showcased at E3, and that was where they said, yeah, your Xbox One's compatible with Oculus, and what you'd do then is you'd put Oculus on and you'd stream the game from the Xbox One via your PC hardware, and you'd be in a virtual living room with, say, a TV on the wall, and you'd be playing it that way. The only benefit of which I can see is that you could probably have a bigger TV in the VR room than in real life, perhaps. That's all well and good, but they sort of questioned the way that it was written as if it was saying that you could just plug the Rift into your Xbox One. So they they asked them. They asked the developers of Paranormal Activity, more pressing questions, and they got the following response. Xbox One announced a partnership with Oculus this week, so as far as VR is concerned, we will have a VR and a non-VR version for Xbox One and PS4. Distribution will be for HTC Vive, Oculus Morpheus, and non-VR for Xbox One and PS4. So it was sort of a bit fluffy, that. So they asked them specifically whether the Xbox One version would actually have a virtual reality version, or would it be strictly limited to the non-VR version. And they said that they'll be making VR and non-VR versions. So there'll be an Oculus version to play on Xbox One and a non-VR version of Xbox One. And this is the quote from the developer, so I'll just repeat that. They'll be making VR and non-VR versions, so yes, there will be an Oculus version to play on Xbox One and a non-VR version for Xbox One. Also a Sony Morpheus version for PS4 and a non-VR version for PS4. So
wow,
that sounds like you could. They're saying that you would plug the Oculus straight in. Now they drilled down once more because they just wanted to. So they also asked directly if the Xbox One virtual reality capabilities were that the developer WERX were referring to were limited to the living room streaming. So they just wanted to get that, clarified.
Yes, just to make sure, they won't get excited about nothing.
So they just asked, they were really direct here, and the answer that they got was, regular VR version is playable on Xbox One. Non-VR version is a traditional gameplay. The same game, just no VR input. Does that make sense? I cannot respond to Oculus and Microsoft relationship outside the fact that Xbox One supports Oculus.
It's all very woolly, isn't it? It's all very kind of dancing around that. Yes, you put your headset on and you can play it properly.
Yeah.
That's what. They're good on the interviewer for keep hounding them, but that's what they were really after, wasn't it?
Well, the final quote is, it says, if you purchase a retail version of the Oculus when it is shipped in 2016, you can use it on the Xbox One and play our VR version of Paranormal Activity on the Xbox One. So there you go.
Interesting. That's very interesting indeed.
There you go, yeah. And that's from a site called Hardcore Gamer, speculating that the Xbox One could natively support Oculus Rift. Let's see. Maybe they just downgrade the resolution or something, to within the constraints of the Xbox One. But we're probably going to get an Oculus anyway. But won't it be great that as well as the PC, we can just buy VR games for Xbox One and just plug in and play them as well, especially if they're going to bring different experiences out on Xbox One. Though with Windows 10 Universal stuff, that probably isn't going to happen, but we'll see. So it's interesting for people. Maybe we won't have to buy a PC, Maybe we won't have to buy a PC.
Yeah, maybe not. That's what I was just thinking. But like I say, it's all kind of speculation at the moment, isn't it? It's just,
very woolly.
It's all up in the air. Maybe that again, maybe we've got conferences coming. Maybe we'll share some more information in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, Yoshi would be jealous of that woolly world.
Yes.
That was a good joke.
And then coming from one speculation to another speculation or another rumour that definitely got traction over the weekend, which was there was a couple of screenshots that were released for a DC game by the makers of Batman Arkham series. So it was a Rockstar game, but they were showing off this image that was just one screenshot showing Superman in the Arkham Knight environment, so kind of in the Arkham Knight style. So that, I think that popped up on Saturday morning, and then about Sunday afternoon there was a GIF that was shown which had Superman moving around. So of course when the screenshot came up, everyone was saying, "Oh, this is just a Photoshop. This is a fanboy dream." But then they had a moving version of Superman in the 52 suit, which is the new era that DC are going through at the moment. Just kind of showing it, and there is speculation again. As we were saying, there's speculation that the people behind Arkham Origins, which is Warner Brothers Montreal, are working on a DC game. So could this be that? Could there be some DLC that's going to come into Arkham Knight that will bring Superman into that area, into that game? I would love that. I would love that you're playing as Batman, you look up and there's Superman just hovering, similar to the new kind of Batman versus Superman trailer. That would be fantastic. But it's definitely got a lot of people talking on Twitter and kind of a lot of the websites that I look at. So have you seen the screenshot? It looks quite good. It looks quite cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty legitimate, doesn't it? I've seen the screenshot. I've seen the GIF as well. It looks legitimate. But these kind of Superman games, and there's been a lot of convincing fakes over the years, but yeah, this looks pretty good. And if Origins did do it, it wouldn't take much to tweak their existing assets for Batman to just make a Superman game, because Batman flies, glides along. Just reskin it, take out the descent in his fall, turn it into flying, and you've pretty much got a Superman game. Or the building blocks for it, you've got the engine there ready almost.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only problem you have with a Superman, I mean, you whenever you're talking about Superman, you have to kind of suspend your belief anyway. But with a Superman game, he's powerful to start off with. With Batman games, you get more and more kind of equipment, and it is, he's just a guy with money. But with Superman, he's already powerful, so maybe they'll just kind of bring in the kryptonite bit that will kind of bring him down a bit. But I would love that. I'd love a DC game. I know there was at one point they were talking about a whole kind of Justice League game, which kind of builds into what DC are doing over there in the cinematic universe. So maybe we've got something coming. That's quite interesting. But the screenshots look great. I love the way they've modelled Superman. So I'll buy it.
Yeah, he's looking good, isn't it? What was the game? Oh, it wasn't League of Legends, but that the Mortal Kombat guys brought out a fight.
Injustice.
That's it. Injustice. Gods Among Us. And I liked Superman in that. I thought it was pretty cool. Well, all the heroes I thought.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and that spawned a really good graphic novel line as well.
I'm not surprised. The way they did the story in that was so refreshing, because fighting games would just have awful stories like Tekken and stuff, and Soul Calibur, etc., and Street Fighter. But the way that they did that, it was just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they broke off into not get too comic nerdy, but they broke off into a complete different multiverse with that. And it's quite interesting. The current storyline with DC actually has some of those characters from that multiverse in the current multiverse, or the current universe. And it's very interesting. It was definitely an IP, a storyline, an idea that DC Comics ran with. I think they're into about the third or fourth season of those comics, and they really do mess around with the storylines of the DC characters.
Cool. Well, I suppose it's only going to be expected when a character has been around for as long as some of these characters. I've never played a particularly good Superman game, but I'm open to one. It's as if it's perfect. There's some IPs and some characters and storylines that are just perfect, you'd think, for a game, and they either never appear or they appear and they're rubbish. It's like they're too good. It's a bit like saying, the fact that Sonic went downhill, it's perfect. He's a character that was developed for games but failed to find his way after sort of peaking very, very early on, and Superman's never really found himself the right platform. So let's hope that if it is true that they're going to make a good effort at it this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the closest you've ever got to a really good Superman game is the Lego games. The Lego games are fantastic. They're really good. And the way they portray Superman in those games is really good fun. So they were close, but yeah, you're right. There just hasn't been a really good kind of proper game. So maybe, who knows? I'll keep my eye on that one because I'm very interested.
Yeah, we'll see. So next up, Shenmue 3 is now among Kickstarter's top 10 successes. So it's doing really well. It's right there in the top, and there's we've had a lot of successful Kickstarters. Probably the most prominent that I can think of, or the first biggie, was Elite Dangerous that got funded. It's currently at $4,519,534 pledged. It started off at $2 million, and it's got 9 days to go. I actually think, yes, that's fine that it's in the top 10. We'll see where it goes, but I think it needed more, really. I think it needs to get to like 10 million before it finishes, and it's not looking like it will if it's had 21 days and got to 4.5 million. It's still enough that it's still going to get made, and it's got Sony's backing, though they've been a bit woolly about actually what's happening there, because it's a bit strange that they've sort of said that they'll give some money or something, but we're not exactly absolutely sure what it is, what that partnership is about. But yeah, regardless of all that conjecture, it's in the top 10 of Kickstarter successes, and it's being made. And 51,830 backers, of which you and I are two.
Absolutely, that's really cool. I mean, it's really good to see these games. We had Ukulele, as you say, we had Elite Dangerous, and now we've got Shenmue. Really kind of do well on Kickstarter.
Yeah. The leader of the Kickstarter gaming section at the moment is 5.5 million for a game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which I did not heard of. No. But we'll see where this goes. My other and final story for this week's podcast is just a quick one about an upcoming patch for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It's patch 1.07. That'll be its PC number. I think the console numbers are a patch underneath that, even though they'll deliver the same. They come a bit later, and I think that'll be called 1.06. But basically, it comes with quite a few nice touches. There's going to be an optional movement response mode for Geralt, which might be nice because I've sworn quite a lot getting stuck in a corner and things and not being able to fight properly, and then dying, and then having to wait for it to load, which is bad enough. Like 10-minute loading screen. Everyone was up in arms about Bloodborne taking ages to load. This takes ages to load. It does my head in. And then finding out that because the autosave isn't that frequent, that I'm miles back, and it's just like the pain. You're gonna get this pain, Antony, when you start playing it, and you'd get killed.
Well, hopefully by the time I start playing it, as you were saying, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff would have been patched, so I just have a good experience.
Well, it won't count. It won't count. You don't come over talking to me about how good you've done in The Witcher unless you play the unpatched version.
Unless you're fighting yourself in a corner.
Yeah, it won't wash. I'm not going to have it. You'll say, I did this, I did that. I'll be like, it doesn't matter. You're on the patch version. It's not the same. It's not canon.
You're such a patch elitist.
Yeah. You're not playing the game properly, and you should play it bugs
if
to
you're
hell.
not playing it out of the box, you're not playing it at all. That's what you're saying.
So some of the things that they've got included, the optional movement, but one of the main things is a player stash for storing items at last, because you've only got a limited inventory, and you get some really cool stuff. You find in loot all the time. Most games, you've got like a place, a home or a base or something, and you've got a chest, haven't you? Where you can put all your stuff. You don't have one in The Witcher. It's really annoying, and you find something really cool, and it's weird because you do out-level the really cool thing, but you remember how hard you fought for it, and it's cool. Or you can get an armour set, which is like I've got the feline set, which is a top armour, trousers and boots and gloves, all matching, so it's a set. And I've sort of out-leveled that now, but I'm loath to drop it just on the floor and lose it forever because I had to work for it. And I wanted a box. I thought, why can't I have somewhere to keep all this stuff that I got? That like trophies of my experience through the game. You're always finding cool stuff in it, and I've had to drop loads. It's like like that Griffin trophy from right at the start. You think, I'll never get rid of that, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, you've got no bloody room. So you've got to start dropping things willy-nilly. So anyway, they're going to give you a nice stash for storing items in various locations throughout the game, and they're going to be marked on the map. So that's really cool, and that's going to be a headache less for you, Antony, when you're playing it, which is really cool. There's also going to be crafting and alchemy components, and not going to add to the overall inventory weight anymore. So that's another blessing, because you just get loads. I mean, they only weigh like 0.01 of a gram or whatever the weight is in the game, but it adds up because you're picking this stuff up all the time, and you just get you're getting hundreds of these things, and they bog you down. Books, it's difficult to tell if you've read them or not at the moment in the current menu, and they're going to be properly grayed out. There's going to be different kinds of sorting options available in the inventory. So there's a lot of inventory refinement, and that really is a place where it needs it, and lots of other fixes and stuff. But mainly, there's going to be a lot of inventory improvement. There's going to be some various improvements to horse behaviour. And if anybody's tried riding good old Roach, it can be quite infuriating as he goes headlong off the road into a wall. You get surrounded by the baddies, die, wait 10 minutes to load, and then find out you've lost the last half an hour because it didn't autosave. So that'll be quite good. So the PC one that this is talking about is coming out this week. I imagine the console versions they're usually following the week after, so that will be good. More welcome additions to a fantastic game. And with that's my last item, and I think that's it for the news.
Yeah, that sounds about it for the news and about it for the podcast as well. So I think all that remains to say, as we do every week, is thank you very much for listening, and also thank you very much for some of the feedback that we've been getting. It's been gratefully received, and we've really enjoyed it. So thank you very much. It's good to hear that we're kind of hitting that right kind of podcast spot. So if you want to keep up with us, we're at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Gamers of Lost Spark. You can find us on Twitter at we're at Lost Spark Pod, and now we're also on YouTube as well. So we're on YouTube at Lost Spark, isn't it, Darren?
Yeah, that's right. It's Gamers of the Lost Spark on YouTube. Yeah.
Excellent, and we're putting all of our episodes up there as well, so you can catch up on our back catalogue. It's quite nice that we've got a back catalogue now. So, Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me with the name Wythermator on PS4, Xbox One, and Twitch. Dazza Gamer on YouTube. That's separate to the just announced Gamers of the Lost Spark channel, and at Dazwitham on Twitter. What about you, Anthony?
For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live, I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and I'm Chessman UK on Twitter. If you have any feedback or would like to ask us any questions, you can send us an email to feedback@gamersofalostspark.com. You can keep an eye on our Twitter page, which again is Lost Spark Pod, for more updates and information about our upcoming episodes. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes and have those episodes delivered as soon as they're available. So that's about it. So all that's left to say is have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.